What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. It's time for us to get into the April 2018 mailbag questions you guys submitted for the inbox of questions and the answers.
Okay.
And
We're off to a great start.
I went a little Goldblum there for some reason or something. Just, the questions, they'll find a way. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, you just heard him a second ago, Robert D. Felice. What's up, Rob?
It's the dynamic duo here to answer your questions, and it's just us this month.
Yes, indeed. We have less questions than you guys submitted because it's a long fucking couple of weeks, and I think I had counted something like 70 questions were submitted. So, nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Too many. If that is the case, I mean, we've always gone through and we've always taken some out, but I've always tried to make it a point to answer as many as we possibly could. This time around, I went a little bit more into the deeper cuts, and deeper cuts is not the word I wanted to use. I'm really tired. I cut a lot more this time than I normally would, but I still tried to keep some pretty solid ones here, and we've got something like, I don't know how many of them we've got at this point. I should probably figure that out ahead of time. But there is a decent amount from a couple different people over here, and, we're going to get to them. So that's how it works.
Right on.
If you don't know what the mailbag is, it's questions and it's answers. That's kind of why it's a Q&A. And some of them are on, like, the wrestling side of things. Some of them are completely out of the realm of wrestling, but that's kind of what part of the fun is, too. So strap yourself in, I was going to say strap on. Oh, man, I'm so tired. This was actually a podcast that was supposed to start an hour and 13 minutes ago. That gives you an indicator of me oversleeping and me being distracted by this picture of Alexa Bliss and stuff like that. God, she's hot.
She's so hot.
Let's get to
Okay.
Marco's questions here. First things first. Favorite piece of wrestling merchandise? I really don't have any, oddly enough.
That you own, I assume, is the question here?
Yeah, I'm assuming so. If we're going to just talk about, like, favorite piece of merchandise ever, it'd probably be, like, the wing title or something like that.
Yeah, it would have to be one of those, replica belts that I unfortunately have never gotten.
I was looking at the price for them the other day because I was just kind of like, I wonder if I should just, like, buy one just on a whim. There's, like, the good ones are, like, $800, and I was just like, nah, not happening.
Yeah, I thought about getting a replica, an NWA title once, the big gold, like the Ric Flair
big gold
title
belt?
not the big gold, but the one pre-big gold. They call it the Mickey Mouse design and like wrestling belt circles. But yeah, it's an obnoxious price, and I cannot afford it. As far as favorite wrestling merch that I own, so I bought one time a DX jersey. It was the DX jersey that says on the back, it says 69 and it says suck it. And I'd always
I love
wanted
DX.
one. So I think that might be at the top of my list. Right now on Etsy, and if somebody listening to this podcast buys it before I do, I hate you forever. There's a Big Daddy Cool Diesel vintage 1995 t-shirt, and it's $50. And I can't justify right now spending $50 on one shirt, but I'm such a mark for that new generation era that I'm gonna buy this shirt one way or another. I don't know. I've always loved those style of t-shirts. I feel like they just seemed cooler to me. I don't know if it's because childhood nostalgia or whatever, but they just always seemed cool.
So, is it like when you get that and you order it, it comes free with just like that truck noise that used to be at the beginning of his thing? When you buy it, instead of getting like a little like ding in your email, you get you bought the shirt.
I bought that shirt.
$50 down the drain.
But I love that stuff. Sentimental wise, I have the disgusting yellow CM Punk t-shirt.
With the lightning bolts and stuff.
Yeah, but it was a gift. It was a surprise gift from my father, and it was one of the only like cool surprises I ever got. So I gotta go with that as far as sentimental value. But yeah, that would probably be it. I don't actually have a lot of wrestling merch, believe it or not.
I can't think of really almost anything that I have, because whenever I've gone to a wrestling show, I haven't bothered buying anything because I've already spent like hundreds of dollars on tickets and stuff. And like, I used to always wear wrestling shirts when I was in like 4th grade, 5th grade, like that kind of a thing. But I haven't bought a wrestling shirt in fucking forever. Like, if I go to a wrestling event, I have my Smark Out Moment shirt for marketing purposes, and that doesn't really count. I do have a Hulk Hogan costume that somebody had sent me, and I wear the Hulkamania shirt, like, just in the summertime. It's a sleeveless shirt, so it's like, yeah, sure, Hulkamania. It's been a little bit harder to wear it the past couple of years because I got it like a year before the whole scandal happened. But that's not really like, like, oh, it's great merch. It's just a Hulkamania shirt. So I don't know. I gotta buy something. Just have something kind of interesting. I do have like old autographs and stuff, and autographs are stupid. Like, nobody cares about autographs. It's just like, nobody's ever gonna buy somebody's autograph where it says like, "Hey Tony, best of luck, Tom Brandy." Like
Why? Hold on, that's a story. Why Tom Brandy?
he was at like some NWA show when I was a kid. It was like $5 to get an autograph.
So was this before or after Salvatore Sincere?
This is after. This is where he went from Salvatore Sincere to Tom Brandy, got his ass kicked at the Royal Rumble, then got released like not that long after, I think. So it's like 98, Tom Brandy.
That's pretty interesting, I guess, time frame wise. I have a signed Ric Flair picture with an official seal of authentication. I can't talk right now. Authenticity, thank you. And it says officially signed by, wait for it, Superstar Billy Graham. And that's just hilarious to me. As far as autographs wise, I have a really cool autograph from Paul London, who I like because every time I've been to an indie show, he's just been the most rad dude to me. And like, I think that's what going to indie shows is about. Not like Matt Stryker, who is like, "Oh, buddy, for you, $20." And I went in my head, yeah, I'm just gonna go get Morrison's picture for $20. Stryker, thanks. But like, I don't know. It's the wrestling business is a shady one, especially when you're going to those indie shows.
I think that probably the best thing that I've got, especially as far as autographs go, are I think it was the same event that the Tom Brandy thing was, where Sandman was on it, and he smashed the can on his head, he's Sandman, and threw it out to the crowd, and I caught it, and then I got him to sign it later. So I've got a signed smashed Sandman can, but it's like, it's Sandman, so it's not like it's like, oh, the can that Sandman smashed on his head, that's the equivalent of, say, the hat that Macho Man wore.
Yeah,
it's like,
could be literally anything.
Yeah.
That one beer that Steve Austin drank that one time on that one show.
Right. It's I don't have in my garage the milk truck from Kurt Angle. There's a difference between things.
Do you remember the first wrestling merch that you ever bought?
Well, see, the first event that I can remember going to was either In Your House Mind Games or it was one of the house shows that I had been to. And if it was Mind Games, which I'm pretty sure it was, then it was an In Your House Mind Games t-shirt.
That's pretty cool.
And I'm pretty sure at that event too, I got a Gold Dust action figure because I couldn't find Gold Dust for some reason around my time, around my like Toys R Us and stuff like that. So I think it was the In Your House Mind Games t-shirt. Yeah, that makes the most sense.
I went to a SmackDown house show in 2004 and got a John Cena Word Life bobblehead.
I was expecting it to be a t-shirt or a jersey or
so
foam finger
no
or something.
T-shirt. I got a Best of SmackDown 10 Years magazine and a John Cena Word Life bobblehead.
Oh, look at that. We're actually going to be joined by Drew White. So you're not going to know this too much, but I'm going to splice in 2 different phone calls here in a minute. So now we got him on the line, and with magical editing process, here he is, Drew White.
Oh, hey, look, I just magically appeared.
Flying in on a helicopter or something.
I don't know what I was trying to do, but yeah, let's go with the helicopter.
So we only answered one question so far, Drew, and I'm going to pitch it to you. What's your favorite piece of wrestling merchandise?
My favorite piece of wrestling merchandise that I own is probably my Daniel Bryan Yes, Yes, Yes shirt, just because he's my favorite wrestler. As much shit as you guys gave me for the cereal box thing, I'm not mad about that purchase still. I think the cereal box, I opened it and I finally put the shirt on the other day. Yeah, I like the shirt and I like the box for the New Day. So I'll take that. The one, and actually now that I'm remembering, one time when I went to a SmackDown show in like 2005, I got like one of those John Cena chain gang necklace, or would you call that, a necklace that you would put on, or just like a chain thing? I don't know. There's a medallion thing that spinned. I wore that when I fake wrestled on the trampoline. No biggie. So yeah, that's some of my favorites.
If you guys could get some kind of a prop, like say Jim Cornette's tennis racket, or Honky Tonk Man's guitar, or anything that would be like that, or even something as simple as like a piece of the wrestling mat for a WrestleMania, like just anything that you can think of off the top of your head, what do you think that you would want to get? The first thing that pops in my mind, Undertaker's urn.
Ooh, I was gonna say maybe one of Undertaker's drones that just come out and just like hold one of those things. Just, like,
just one of the people just gonna hang out in your house.
Yeah, just like CM Punk. He did that once.
You have a hooded druid in your house, just like.
Would you have to spell it Drew-id?
Yes.
Yes.
That would be the guy's name.
Said it.
So many things came to my mind. I thought Undertaker's symbol. Then I thought maybe the Shawn Michaels Heartbreak Hotel set. But I think if I could have anything, if this was possible, I would want the official ladder used in the WrestleMania 10 ladder match with Shawn and Razor.
That's interesting.
What about the
cool. I wonder
baby
if they still have
that? What about the baby that Snitsky punted?
Oh
God, that'd be cool.
I bet
shit.
somebody does. I bet somebody in the crowd caught that, and somebody has it somewhere.
I'm gonna do a Google search for that.
I wish I had the casket that Triple H laid in when he gave Kane's significant other the dirty deed.
I would only want that if the dummy came included.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool shit. No, it's an actual dead person on the inside.
I don't see anything on eBay about the baby that he punted. All right.
There's a rumor that Jim Cornette's first wife has a bag of Shawn Michaels' hair from when Bret Hart and Shawn got into a fight and Bret pulled his hair out.
That's creepy.
If that bag was somewhere, why not?
I would think that she would have Bobby Eaton's hair or something like that instead. Yeah, I'm trying to think about some other things that were like that, but they don't sell those things, so that's why they're not wrestling merch. Or if it is, it's like a replica of this or whatever, and that's like, that doesn't count.
I'm thinking like a seat, but I can't think of any really prominent seats kind of props in wrestling.
I mean, it's not necessarily a prop by any means, but if you went to WrestleMania and you sat on the floor, you could always just take that chair with you.
Well, this is true. Speaking of manias, that's a seat I could take. Triple H's throne from the WrestleMania 22 Conan the Barbarian thing. I would take that.
I got the perfect answer for this. McMahon's Millions.
Oh.
Just give me the $1 million. That would be my favorite to have.
No, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I would love if I could have Damien Sandow's Money in the Bank briefcase when it was an actual just leather briefcase.
That'd be kind of cool too, yeah.
I thought he was going to say, I would love it if I could have Damien, like Jake the Snake's official original snake.
Cool
I
too.
bet. There you go. If you could adopt one of the pets that have been arrested. Let's see. Question number 2 from Marco. Prefer WWE made entrances or separate songs by bands? It really doesn't matter to me. It's whoever kind of like fits.
As long as it's good, man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, it's not, I mean, if it was like CFO money, I mean, who knows? But honestly, there's some really bad songs by bands. I mean, I remember when Jeff Hardy was having his shitty band doing all of his music at certain points. You know, that's always
TNA, everybody.
Another me. I think.
Didn't Production do his like last in WWE?
No, he didn't. That was some random band.
I loved Wago's outro for that. The unenthusiastic Jeff Hardy theme where he's like, but man, there's a difference when you hear something like a generic production theme and it's just like rock music, you know, and then you hear something like glorious. You can tell the difference. The first example I always think of is Cody Rhodes. His old theme, that burner, it's like, dude, that's the most generic shit. And it's not bad. Like, it would be good for, you know, if you were some indie show kind of thing or whatever, but it's a big step up in quality when they actually get people to perform some kind of a song that fits the person. And
I'm glad that nowadays that they actually put effort in even the smaller people who might not, or like the jobbers or the lower people on the cards music, unlike back in like the 2000s when it was, like you said, just generic rock music that they just found online or something like that.
Yeah, everybody just has some like audio lab library type of thing or something. And now it's like you have like the Mae Young Classic and stuff. People get their themes just from that. Like Candice LeRae is still using the same thing that she used in there. And Fabian Eichner just changed his theme the other day, which like they made it more generic now. It's just kind of a shame.
I bet they probably want more people coming in with the intention of, oh, this is a spot, you know, you're not just coming in for a tournament, this could lead to a full-time thing. So that's why they're coming up with more themes. I don't like when superstars return and they're changing the theme that they were using from years ago, like Benjamin. I don't like Benjamin's new theme.
No, his old theme was better. Like, his theme right now could work for somebody, but why get rid of Ain't No Stopping Me?
That was so good.
Now that he's not a part of the Chad Gable thing, he should go back to using that. But thankfully they did change Big Cass's music, because even though Cass's music right now is generic, his old theme,
ooh,
that like, oh god, that was fucking horrible.
Wait, did they come out with the new theme for him? I didn't
hear
a new theme.
When he beat down Daniel Bryan, they played some kind of generic rock theme.
Huh.
It's interesting.
I did not like what they saddled him with when he turned heel on Enzo.
That was awful. So maybe they give him something extra soon, or maybe they just keep with that. I don't know. But to me, it doesn't matter to me if it's like, this is Saliva that did it versus some band that I don't have a clue of. You know what I mean? It's like, what's the fucking name of the people that did Triple H's theme? I'm blanking on there now. Oh god, who did Triple H's theme? Motorhead. That's what it was. I was like,
oh shoot, I wasn't even paying attention.
I could only think of Metalingus, and I'm like, that's the name of Edge's theme. But like Motorhead's like an actual name, But if you were to
Yeah.
tell me that was just like, I don't know, Jimmy Smith and the Bandoliers or some bullshit, like, you know, some
The what?
I don't know. We've established I'm tired.
I remember
So
when Killswitch Engage did CM Punk's theme.
it's the one that was
Yeah.
all like, you know, you know, that kind of thing.
That fire burns.
The
I
one that
remember
should
when
have been
they gave it
Orton's.
to Randy Orton for a week, and then I think the next week they were like, you know what, we don't like this for you.
Yeah.
And
And then
Punk
he
debuted
upgraded to
a little while
voices.
later. I really don't like voices
Really?
compared to the old one.
Eh. I mean, I like the original Legend Killer theme, but I think when it comes to voices, he really doesn't like. Randy Orton is so fucking generic sometimes that I feel like when you have something like voices, you need because like with that, it kind of like makes you think like he's crazy or something like that, and they really don't go too deep into like Randy's like, oh man, he hears voices in his head, he might go crazy right now or some bullshit like that. So I've actually kind of been hoping they would change his theme for a while or do something different with him.
I like it.
I mean,
Ew.
when he first debuted with it, he was doing the, you know, cold as ice, kind of psychotic thing, so it worked. But right now, he's just kind of like a generic douchebag guy. I don't know.
Grew his hair back out.
That's
He
the
looks better
vibe I
now.
get from Randy.
Speaking about the entrances, though, Marco also asks us, what fucking happened to Titantrons with wrestlers just standing and looking at the camera? Now it's all just shaking names on the screen. I didn't notice
I don't know what
that.
happened.
Does
Maybe-
everybody actually have that now? Nobody has, like, the videos?
Nobody has a video. It's generic graphics that you can get from storyblocks.com, and they're just putting the wrestlers' names over it. I mean, I don't know what happened to their graphics team, but they are getting minimalistic to the point of like, yeah, a 13-year-old can do this. What are you doing?
Well, I don't think it. I think maybe they thought at some point that maybe people don't really care about the Titantron video to a certain extent because they've been practicing with this for a few years now, and I remember. I mean, shoot, I feel like John Cena might be the only person, if anyone does, that actually shows his Titantron videos showing him running to the ring or doing some bullshit still. But I have noticed
I
that they've
think
been.
they got rid of that as well.
Gosh, man. Well, I just maybe they don't care anymore. I mean, they have so many videos everywhere. I mean, the floor now, you know, there's stuff on it. Like on the apron for the ring, they put that screen on front. So, which I thought was cool when they did that in NXT, and then they brought that to the main roster. So, I just think they stopped caring and knowing because maybe the people don't care.
Maybe. I mean, I kind of look at it this way. Like, if you're in the live event area, you're going to be wanting to watch the person doing whatever they're doing. So you'd rather see it on the screen of them like running to the ring. If you're on like watching it through TV, you're not paying attention to the Titantron video anyway. So I don't know. I don't hate this. I didn't really notice that was the case. So if I didn't notice it, it must not have been something that was bugging me. Yeah.
No, the Titantron video was only handy for when you went to YouTube and you were just wanting to listen to wrestling themes, and the Titantron would play on the same time for the video. I
And you
feel
know
like
what?
that's the only use for it.
I'm actually the type of person that when I watch things on YouTube like that, I try to specifically get the videos that don't have the videos. Like
Mm.
I don't like watching
it's a
music
wrestler
videos.
standing there.
No, like I'm much more into the music videos or the music, I guess, just not videos on YouTube where it's just like the square picture of like the album cover and that's it. Or somebody made some kind of a video that has the lyrics on it. Because I don't like watching music videos because then I associate footage with the music. And like if I hear Kofi Kingston's theme, I've got that in my music collection. I think of that stupid first shot of him smiling all the time. And I wish I didn't because I like the song so much. But I don't want to hear like to hear them shouting and have him going like that big ass cheesy smile. I'd rather just imagine palm trees or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm cool with no pictures of wrestlers pointing and going, ah, you know, like that kind of thing. Like, just put KO on the screen. I know it's Kevin Owens.
How do you feel about the lack of actual intro videos for Raw and SmackDown? Like, there's no opening video. They just go, welcome to Raw, welcome to SmackDown.
Straight to the point. I'm fine with it. You see a lot more with TV shows nowadays. They don't start their show with the actual intro video. A lot of shows now you start by some. I mean, fucks. I mean, they'll do like certain. They'll go so far into it, and then they might show it. But fucks. Now a lot of shows are doing the point where they just start showing directed by blank, produced by blank, written by blank at the bottom of it while the show starts. So,
unless you're a CW show, then it's, my name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest man alive. I used to be a fucking ordinary forensic scientist, and then shit happened, and now previously on The Flash. That kind of thing. But
I was thinking just now, the only person I could think of on, at least in WWE right now, who doesn't have like a shaking name for their Titantron video is probably The Undertaker, but that's just because he does the lightning bolt thing.
yeah, and it would be a little bit strange if it just had like The Undertaker and it's bounced back and forth. Man, lots of shakeups happening lately. Shaking names, shakeups.
Shaking
USA Network was all fucking vibrating the other day for me. Gave me a massive headache. I don't know what was up with that one.
Yeah, that was just you. It was weird when you sent the video.
Jonathan too. So 2 different markets. And USA was just fucking up. And the only way that I got it to fix was I rebooted my cable box. Maybe it was Comcast. I don't know. Fuck you,
Weird.
Comcast. Let's get into Peter's questions here. As I mentioned before, we took out a good portion of different people's questions. So sorry about that, Peter. We took out a couple of yours along the way too. This one, though, I figured I'd keep because we've talked about it recently, but I figured we should just kind of call attention to it still. He says, I know this question may be shocking since I asked it at the beginning of, to open the April mailbag, and this will be the 3rd year in a row. How are you guys doing after the hectic March and Mania season you've had? Jesus, man, this fucking, February started where I was like, oh man, I've got a lot of WrestleMania posts I need to write up. I should divvy these up and I should start writing them in, the end of February. So that way it makes it a little bit easier for March. And then March was like, man, there's a lot of posts. I got to set up a lot setting up to WrestleMania. And the week before WrestleMania, it was like, let me try to do things ahead of time. Then Mania is crazy. And then they've just kept it going. And I am so tired. And I am so really loving the idea that right now, this is like one of the last things that I have to do for this week for the most part. So this is awesome. Like I get to have like the majority of the rest of the day off once I'm done with the editing the mailbag and everything like that. And I've got like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm not going to do shit.
Nice.
I need it. You guys haven't had as much things to do because you don't work on the websites and stuff like that the same that I do, but how has it been happening from your side of things? It's still chaotic, but
It's exhausting knowing that that these are like must-see shows. I can't go, oh, well, it's just SmackDown. I'll watch it, whenever. I have to sit there and watch SmackDown as soon as I got off of work and all that, and it has been tiresome.
Well, I'll say that mine's been hectic from a different standpoint, not even from like a wrestling standpoint. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life, kind of hectic stuff. But yeah, you're right about having not to do as much stuff. Shout out for us for making the correct choice, Robert. High five. Thank you. Yeah. So, but yeah, you got a good point though with all that. So I'm just glad that it honestly the past couple months have brought me closer to wrestling because I hadn't been watching wrestling as much for the past year or so. So so honestly, WrestleMania usually it might be a little hectic from like the standpoint of having to watch Raw and even SmackDown to a certain extent each week. I'm actually have been enjoying SmackDown more for the past couple of weeks, so I might be more in tune to watching both Raw and SmackDown every week going forward. So yeah, it's been good. I mean, fuck, I even watched Fastlane, which kind of disappointed me that I re-upped my WWE Network subscription just to fucking watch Fastlane, but it is what it is.
Like you went back and watched Fastlane?
No, like I didn't realize when like at some point over the past in like January after the Royal Rumble, my WWE Network subscription didn't renew. So when I got the Fastlane, it was like 15 minutes into the pre-show, and I was like, "Oh shit, I don't have a subscription. Okay, I'll just redo it really fast." So, yeah. That
Tony,
site
you've been
sucked, too.
subscribed since day one, right? You never let your subscription lapse or anything.
Fun fact, I actually have never been subscribed.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, you're using, I'm assuming, Dace or Paydens?
Yep, I'm using Daces.
I was at day one at one point, but I really don't know what the fuck happened that led it to do that. I thought it was weird that I didn't have a subscription at one point.
Well, I guess I'm the only one here who's been subscribed since February 24th, 2014. You're welcome, WWE, for my money.
Open up every show we do with that from now on. That's your name to claim, or claim the fame. Oh, I'm an OG network subscriber. No biggie.
The only OG, the only OG network subscriber.
There is a biggie.
Well, they're just small as well, so.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic. But I'm looking forward to a break.
I'll be happy when Backlash is over and it's just like, all right, we can chill.
Right. Because it's still like, even though this weekend's going to be a good break for me, it's still just Monday, then Tuesday, then Greatest Royal Rumble predictions, then Greatest Royal Rumble, then the fucking Backlash stuff, and then it's really going to be post Backlash is the real break. So it's like a 3-month process.
Shout out to WWE for doing the Code Brand and pay-per-views again, so it's not like you have to watch a pay-per-view every 2 weeks going forward.
That's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Let's see. Question, whatever we're on, I don't know. Do you guys use the same barber when you get your hair cut? And do you talk to your barber? Well, a friend of mine cuts my hair, and since she's a friend of mine, I talk to her. But she has been cutting my hair for a bunch of years. So thanks, Jackie.
So the girl I'm going to now is a friend of my cousin's. And, you know, I'll talk to her. But prior to that, no, I'm not the kind of person who's like used to shooting the breeze with the barber. I was just like, okay, let's get this over with and move on.
I'm the type of guy, when I go to Great Clips, if you don't talk to me, I will tip you more. Only because they in where I live at, the Great Clips barber or the people at Great Clips, they have a tendency that when they talk, that's when they start messing up. And also, I really hate when they just, because they're bullshitting you to get a tip as well. It's like, oh, how are you? So what you doing today? And just like that kind of stuff. I'm more of a, like my haircut, it doesn't take long because I just get a one on the sides and I just ask them to take like a half of inch off the top with scissors. So it only takes like 10 minutes to cut my hair.
Right. I don't like the whole small talk type of crap. And
I hate small talk in general, period.
Yeah, for the most part, me too. I'd rather just kind of cut to the chase and start talking about some good shit. So, you can't really get, like... I mean, like, since I've known Jackie since high school, so it's like, you know, when I pop up there and it's like, well, I didn't put my name down in the system, and then it'll be like, did you put your name down? And it's like, no. And then she'll be like, god damn it, or whatever. And then it'll be like, all right, well, hold on a minute. And then, so, did you hear that this person did this? And, like, you just, like, gossip and stuff like that. But if I do get my haircut from someone else, I don't want to hear the whole, like, you know, wow, you excited for the summer? And, like, whatever. And it's like, nah. Oh, what, you got any plans for Easter? Like, you know, it's like, I don't care. You don't care either. Don't try to pretend like you give a shit. And I got my haircut by, like, a different person around the time that the Phillies were in, like, the World Series or something like that, I think. Or whatever, I don't fucking remember. Or maybe
it was like 09. Jeez, that was a while ago.
It's been a while, yeah. And they were all doing the whole, like, you know, so where are you gonna watch the game and stuff? And I was like, not a big baseball person. And they're like, oh. And then you could see that they were like, fuck, what do I talk about? Because I've been talking to every guy that's come in the whole time. And I love to, every once in a while, when I was like, I don't know, like 24 or something like that, people would be like, so you go to school? And I'm like, nah, I'm out of school. And they're like, so where do you work? And I'm like, I do website stuff. And then they're like, what kind of website stuff? And I'm like, it's no big deal. Let's just like, let's see how long we can keep this awkward train going, kind of a thing.
Since you two aren't big fans of small talk, I guess you're not going to be a fan at Smark Out Moments, a new podcast called Small Talk, right?
That's where we just go, how about this weather, huh?
Yeah. You know,
I thought that
it's-
was going to be the episode, just a show about Hornswoggle. Huh?
That should
Thought
be
I was
another
pissed.
target. We should do that sometime. Have episode of small talk and just be like, so you watching the news? Yeah, got some Trump stuff going on. And what do you think about that weather and all
If
that
a-
stuff?
if
So
the person,
birds, so
if,
the
who-
birds
if
are
whoever,
chirping outside.
if whoever cut my hair ever was like, "Hey, so what do you think of the current political atmosphere in the United States?" I will answer that question because that's an actual question. Like, I would much rather have an actual an actual conversation with someone that actually matters.
How
to some
fun would it be
extent.
if, like, instead of a barber or hairdresser or whatever you want to call them, if instead of just being like, so you got any plans for the weekend and like that kind of crap, if they were just kind of like, so do you think that I see the same color orange that you see? Like that, or if
That would
it's
be
like,
interesting.
how about if we die that we actually become an animal and we have to live as every type of species before we go up to heaven? What do you think? Like, kind of a thing that we go like, all right, cool, we're actually talking now, you know?
I just spoke to somebody a couple weeks ago. Somebody I was very close to fell out, and it was the most forced small talk conversation, and I had to stop myself from being like, all right, I don't want to fucking do this. Like, let me know if you ever want to really talk again, but this small talk shit I cannot do. Like, the whole, oh, that's so great, and how are you? And cool, you started a new job, so did I. It was just awful. I cannot do that shit.
I've actually had people in the past where I've bumped into them and then I've said to them specifically, like, you don't want to do this kind of small talk stuff, do you? Like that kind of a thing. And then it's like, all right, so like, nice to see you. If you want to like meet up sometime, you're on my Facebook, so you know we don't talk on Facebook. Let's not talk on in person. That kind of thing.
Dude, it's actually funny. A couple weeks ago, I was at Walmart to talk to a friend that worked there, and when I was leaving, one of my ex's best friends just showed. Well, I was walking in. Of course, Fred was walking out, and she was like, "Oh, hey, Drew." I knew she was about to do the small talk thing, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, I do not want to do this right now." And I had to endure that. Unfortunately, I'm not the type of person to just go, yeah, I know that you want to do this and it's going to be awkward for both of us, so let's just not do it. Whenever I unfortunately do not have that kind of strength, I just endure it and just
Yeah,
move on with my life.
credit to you, Tony, for having that strength, because I did not as well.
I have
I
no
wish I
patience
did.
anymore. That's the thing.
Let me get to 30
how many
and I
times
will.
do I need to bump into somebody at Walmart and be like, "Hey, so you're buying couscous?
Great.
Sweet." Like, I bumped into my neighbor. I don't know how long after I had seen her, and she was like in the taco aisle, and she's all like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make tacos for me, me and John and everybody," and like that. And it was just kind of like, "All right, do you want to give me one of them?" Like, it's kind of like,
Like, are you inviting me over for tacos? Or
right? Like, well, now that we've established what you're making for dinner, you will eventually go home, and I will go home to the house across the street from you where we've lived for 30-something years, and
Nice.
you will eat your tacos, and I will eat the things that are in my cart, and
we'll
we will have a blast, and the neighborhood will be popping. Like, it's like, who gives a shit?
Popping up in here, dude. There's only one person who I'll go out of my way to make small talk with whenever I see her, and it's someone I went to high school with, only because she was a friend of mine in high school. I don't really talk to her much anymore outside of like when I see her. But to me, I talk to her because she got in a bad car accident like right after we graduated. Her younger brother died, and clearly it affected her. And I always like whenever I see her, I always want to make sure she's doing fine. Just like remind her, that people care for her, that kind of stuff.
So
good guy,
nice.
Drew. Good.
I thought this was leading to, there's one person that I would talk to, and she's real hot, and I really want to get her.
Yeah, yeah, that's where I thought we were going to.
Just kind of like,
yes.
oh man, Amy or something like that kind of thing. Where it's just like, yeah,
that's
I'll
my
talk
mom.
to
That's
her.
gross.
What, your mom's name's Amy?
Yeah.
Does she look like your sister?
God, shut the fuck up.
Come on, you set me up with that one.
Yeah.
Long running gag.
Wait, what? You have a mom, Drew? When?
Speaking of small talk, let's move on. Question. Yeah, we're still on Peter. Okay, here. Do you guys wear jewelry on a daily basis? I didn't used to, but when I was put into the Hall of Fame, I dug out my middle school ring. It worked. At least 2 people asked why, and then I brought up the website like I wanted. Nah, I don't wear jewelry for any reason ever.
Hold on,
Like-
as in he brought up our website?
Yeah, he wore his Hall of Fame his school ring to represent being in the Hall of Fame, and when people asked like what's with the school ring and stuff, he was like, oh, website inducted me into their Hall of Fame kind of a thing.
I was thinking for a second that Peter got inducted into his middle school Hall of Fame, which my response was, what fucking middle school has a Hall of Fame?
That'd be kind of awesome though.
Yeah.
If it's just like, your high school or something like that, it was just kind of like, this dude was awesome. He used to do some crazy shit.
My high school has a Hall of Fame for sports, at least. I thought Peter was talking about something like that, so I was curious how that was going to go. But
Smark Out Moment Hall of Fame.
that's awesome. Hey, I mean, if I ever got inducted into the Hall of Fame for Smack Talk or for Smark Out Moment,
You gotta get the
100%
website name
would-
first.
Yeah, if I ever get the website name. Listen, maybe not. I wasn't talking about yours at first, but I changed it on the fly so you could feel special, Tony. Okay.
You're
small-
inducted into the small talk Hall of
The
Fame?
small talk moment.
Listen, they're gonna induct me now because I'm so nice to my friends. So
No, jewelry wise,
oh yeah, that's what we're talking
I don't
about.
like rings all that much. Like, I had, my high school ring, and I wore it for like a week, like everybody does. And then I was like, nah, fuck that. I don't
grandpa still
do
wears his.
necklaces. I don't have any earrings, that kind of a thing. I certainly don't have any like piercings type of stuff. I hate piercings. I think all piercings look bad on everybody except for earrings on women. But nah, jewelry like bracelets and stuff, like, it's not my thing.
The only jewelry I would ever really wear now would be watches. But watches is literally just something that I would wear just because females tend to notice watches and like, oh, watches are nice. That's the only reason to wear a watch.
Yeah, it's a
Is for
fashion
women.
statement more than it is a functionality at this point.
Yeah.
I used to wear
No one-
watches, but
No one
Once cell
actually
phones
needs a
happened.
watch anymore. We have
Right.
fucking phones that tell the time, and they actually tell you the actual time, so you don't have to learn how a clock works. Which, by the way, I always got annoyed by the few people in my class every year who's like, I can't. What time is it? I can't tell by the clock. And I look at it, I'm like, dude, I've known this since I was like 5. How the fuck? Do you not
Right.
get this?
that's like one of the
Where-
first things you try to learn in school.
I don't get that. I really don't understand why people don't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when people are like, well, is that like 4:15? And you're like, dude, it's 8:30. Oh yeah, because you carry the one. Like,
What?
What one are you seeing that you carry, sir?
exactly.
I don't wear jewelry, not because I'm not against the idea totally. I just have never seen anything that's like, I need to wear this right now. This has to become a part of my fashion statement. No, never been me.
When I was younger, one of my grandparents worked at a jewelry store, and she got me one of those gold chains with a cross on it because she was super religious. And for a while, my mom made me wear it because it's nice that your grandma got you that. And I was just like, fuck my life, because I really have never been too religious. And and honestly, that cross was burning my skin because I'm not religious at all every time I wore it. So you know how it is when you're not religious and crosses burn, So yeah.
There was something I was going to mention about some kind of a chain. What was it? Oh, when I was in 7th grade, I think is what it was, there were these like silver linked chains that were extremely popular for a couple of months. And it was almost one of those things where it's like, if you didn't have one, like, why aren't you wearing one of those chains? That type of thing. And I remember for a little bit, I was sitting there going, maybe I should buy one of those and just kind of like go with the flow and be,
Is this
like,
the early 2000s, late 90s?
this is 99, 2000.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that sounds about right.
those chains and stuff. And I remember like really considering buying one. And I went to the store and they were like $20 or something like that. And I was just sort of like, all right, I guess I should just do this. And then I like actually held one in my hands and I was like, I don't even want to fucking hold this thing, let alone have this around my neck. So, nah. Puka shell necklaces, too. They were popular, and it was just kind of like, why? Like,
I just linked you guys to something. That's what I would wear to school every day, but then I would get in trouble whenever they would see it. The chain gang necklace. I love that necklace. I still have that somewhere. The little chain that spins. I know this is a callback from earlier, obviously, but that thing, it stopped spinning after a while, and it made me so sad because that was the coolest thing about it.
It's kind of like the chain that my John Cena bobblehead had, Tony. See, there we go. Full circle, guys.
yeah.
Right back around.
Now let's start back at the top again. So,
Wrestling merch.
Another question for Peter here. Do you have anyone on Twitter that when they tweet that you are notified? He has a couple of like Renee Young and stuff. I don't check Twitter like at all.
I'm on Twitter more than I'm on Facebook or any other social media website. I don't follow anyone or I don't follow anyone's tweets like that. Usually when I just go through my Twitter feed, if I see something that's cool, occasionally Twitter does this thing on mobile apps now or on mobile phones where it'll be like this blank and 17 other people tweeted about X. I get more of those.
I don't like that. Those annoy me.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't get the individual person's notification.
So at different points, if I know there's an announcement coming, I will turn on tweet notifications. For example, there's a phone brand called OnePlus, and they're coming out with their new phone soon, so I have their notifications on for them to know when that's coming. I have the notifications on for Cody Rhodes' All In show to know when they're actually going to start announcing matches. But mostly just different people through time that are going to have an announcement. Like during the election, I had Trump tweets notifications sent to me just so I could see what the hell was going on.
Oh my God. Yeah. My girlfriend at the time, she made me unfollow Donald Trump because she would be like, I'd be like, hey, you should see what Donald Trump just tweeted. And of course, it's always something crazy and, borderline something that I would expect my grandpa to tweet, which is something not good. And she made me unfollow him. But don't worry, guys, I follow him back now. I have to know, dude, he's the president of the United States. I should be allowed to see what the guy's tweeting. And honestly, I wish I don't because now it scares me.
He's a lunatic, but I gotta say he's from Queens, New York, and I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that he reminds me 100% of my father.
Listen, if he was from Staten Island, I would be really worried.
Are you from Staten Island, Drew?
No, I just heard Staten Island's a shithole.
I only click on Twitter when somebody tags me in something. Really, that's it.
Oh, wait a minute. I have Smark Out Moments tweets sent to me so I can retweet them whenever they tweet.
Hey, you should get a bot for that.
I thought he did at one point.
I do have a retweeting bot.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the round team, I think, retweets a lot of things, and if this then that is like the main one that I use. So that's why like all the posts that go up on like anytime that we post anything on the website or a YouTube video or something like that, they just automatically do it. So that's why I'm never on Twitter, because I don't know, Twitter's just, it's not my thing. Like I really don't get the appeal to it all that much unless you're like a celebrity and people follow the celebrity. When you're a regular person, why are you just tweeting stuff out?
Did you initially get on Twitter for business?
Yeah.
When I don't want to brag, but I was one of the first 1 million people to have a Twitter, and the only reason why I had a Twitter originally was because I was like in 7th grade at the time. One of my friends, he was like, "Hey, we should make Twitters." I was like, "Why?" Because Facebook was popping at the time, as the kids say, and he was like, "We should just go on there and just go to the celebrities and just say some bullshit and make fun of them." And I was like, "Sure, why not? Let's do that." And that sounds fun. So, and for a while before the Twitter got its app and updated constantly, you could see each Twitter username, there'd be a number next to them, next to that person's username, and that would be when you got your Twitter account, what number you would be in that line. And for a while, mine was like 975,000, and I forget the last 3 numbers. So that's my claim to fame of why I have a Twitter. But Oh my gosh. Now Twitter is just a bunch of people chasing for clout, which is annoying as shit. Because I try to chase for clout and no one fucking retweets. And I'm like, damn, I feel like I got some fire tweets up my asshole sometimes. I'm just fucking with you. It's not that deep. But Twitter now is just a bunch of people wanting that retweet. But that's what society is now.
You know, it's funny. The other day, everybody loves that blue check mark. And I've tried to get the blue check mark before, just out of like on a whim, just been like, yeah, why don't I try to do this? And it's like, I get rejected every time because they're like, who the fuck are you? But the other day, I was listening to that song Mine by Bazzy, and I was just kind of like, damn, this is a good fucking song, but like some parts of it are really annoying. Like I don't understand why it's got that like boop boop kind of like noise in it and stuff. And you just twist a couple of the lyrics around a little bit and a couple little tweaks, and it would be so much better. So I just posted that on Facebook, and if I just post a normal status on Facebook without like a picture or something, it automatically goes to my Twitter, and I totally forgot about it. And some like rapper or something like that liked it. So I was like, I got the little notification on my phone of like, somebody liked this tweet. And I clicked on it, assuming, like, not paying any attention, assuming that it was like somebody liked a post of like, I don't know, say like predictions for one of the pay-per-views or something like that or whatever, and like that. And I was just like, oh, okay, let me like clear the notification. And it was like some blue check mark like rapper or something like that liked that post of me saying like this song could be so much better and whatever. And I'm like, I hope this isn't the dude that did the fucking song, just kind of like, yeah, my song could be better or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know who this dude is. And that made me feel really happy to be like, oh, this is a blue check mark guy. I don't know who you are. Thanks for liking my stuff.
Occasionally on Twitter, there'll be like, I'll get a follow from someone who has a blue check mark, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let's check who it is. And it's some guy that I've never heard of, and he has like 500,000 followers, but he follows like 895,000 people.
That's crazy, yeah.
I was like, how the fuck do you have the time to follow that many people, dude?
They just like follow anybody that follows them back, I think, automatically and stuff.
That could be it. I got on Twitter initially because of kind of like Trump with the Charlie Sheen madness. And I was like, I need to get on Twitter to see what this crazy guy is saying so I can have some entertainment while I'm sitting in high school. Like, it was my senior year, and he was doing the whole winning thing, and I just thought his stuff was hilarious. And then, like, around that time, the wrestling Twitter boom happened because Ryder was doing his thing, and I've been on Twitter ever since.
Shout out to Charlie Sheen. He's the fucking man. He's crazy, and he has like AIDS now or something like that. But he's the
That's what happens with Tiger Blood. Let's see. Another question we have here. Do you think King Maxwell, Lord Wolfgang, and Bertie Danielson are going to be messed up growing up, being exposed to fame so early? Fuck yeah, they are.
Oh my god.
Look at their parents.
Bertie
Maxwell and Wolfgang are going to grow up with the Hardys and Rebby Sky. And Bertie's got Bree and Daniel Bryan. Like, they're like hippie parents.
But they're kind of grounded compared to like the Maxwell stuff, you know?
Well, there's
Daniel Bryan might be the most grounded person in WWE, though.
Well, he is very much into like gardening and stuff, so
you would.
Yeah, of course I would. But no, like, it's already bad enough you're going to grow up with the name Bertie. And
Bertie Joe.
Yeah, Bertie Joe, which is just like you're named after your mom's clothing line and a male name.
That's her mom's clothing line.
Bertie B.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
that's man. I'm glad that the Kardashians don't name their kids after clothing lines. At least Kanye's like, oh, I'm gonna name him after the city I was born in, and I'm gonna do Northwest because fuck you guys.
Northwest, Saint West, and
Chicago.
Third and Chicago. Wow, they can get away with anything.
I think Saint West is badass as fuck. I think the Northwest thing annoyed me for a while, but now it's like, I mean, she's kind of cute, so it's fine.
I just don't get those kind of names. Like, I could very easily, if I end up having kids, I could fuck them up. Because with my last name, I could name them Kiwi Mango. Or like Fruit Blast Mango or something like that. Like, I could do that shit, but I'm not going to because I have a soul. Like
Should name him Bad Mango.
they're like ripe mango.
Right.
Like I could really fuck up some kind of a kid, or even just make it even worse and just be like, I'm gonna name you something that makes no sense, and you're beef mango. So then
Beef
everybody's like, why
mango.
beef mango? And then be like, because your dad's an asshole. That's why. Like, but like with the Birdie Joe thing, there's a certain level for me where I'm like, I think that stupid names are stupid as they are, and when people do like the whole like, oh, their name isn't Andrew, it's like instead of being it spelled like Andrew, it's like, all right, it's gonna be N''Druox or something like that. And then it's like you're supposed to call that Andrew, and it's like you really needed to be fucking different. Like, or when people are like, oh, it'd be really cute to name a girl a boy name or like that kind of thing. I think it's stupid, but it's really weird to me that Bree and Nikki had a company already named Birdie B, and it's a lingerie type of thing. And then it's like, I also still want to name my kid Birdie. Like, I could understand if they didn't have the name of the company, and if they named her something like Barbara, for instance, like Barbara Danielson, but we want to call her Birdie as a nickname. Okay. It's a little bit weird to me, Birdie, but it's like, that's relatively normal, a normal name and a funny nickname. But you already had a company named that, and it's so strange to me. Like, that's like having, because Birdie isn't a normal name. That's like whoever owns FedEx being like, I'm going to name my kid FedEx too. It's just so strange. And King Maxwell and Lord Wolfgang, they're character names, so it's like, all right, that's fine. But as much as like Birdie's got the weird name going on and she's got like hippie kind of parents and stuff, they're at least not the Hardys. Maxwell and Wolfgang, they're going to grow up with the weirdest fucking family in so many ways.
Well, hold on. What do you think about Hunter's kids? Do you think that they're just going to be... Do you think they're grounded in any sense, or do you think that they're just going to be like, I own the world?
They're going to be spoiled like shit. Imagine, like, what Vince is probably like. He probably spoils him like crazy. Because it's like, he could be the fun grandpa, And he's already crazy as it is. So it's like, fun lunatic grandpa, Doing that walk and shit, and throwing money around like it's nothing. And when they're, like, teenagers, because they're, like, I think the oldest is, like, 9 or something now, right?
Something like that.
The girls, Hunter and Stephanie's kids, she's 12, I believe.
12? Huh.
Yeah.
Goddamn, time flies. When they're like 14, 15, something like that, they're going to be such a pain in the ass, probably.
Can you imagine them trying to date, and the poor 16-year-old kid goes to the house, and there's Triple H with a Tanner, and Vince being like, well, hey, pal. You take care of her, or I'll find you.
Like, he goes for like the first family meeting of like, say like Thanksgiving or something like that, and you've got shit, not even just Triple H with a sledgehammer. Stephanie McMahon is intimidating enough as she is.
I was gonna say I would be most scared of Stephanie, because Stephanie seems like I feel like if you were dating one of their female well, don't they have all daughters?
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking there was a son for some reason, but yeah. But if you're dating one of them and you go and meet them, at least with like Triple H, you might be able to get buddy with him at some point. And with Vince, Vince, he might always come off as a dick at first, but for the most part, I feel like Vince is a very nice, laid back type of guy whenever he's like not in the wrestling vicinity for the most part. But boy, Stephanie scares the absolute shit out of me, because I think what she is on TV is the exact same way she is at home.
It probably is. And I could see maybe a scenario where, like, you're joking around with Vince and it's just kind of like, well, pal, like meet the family, like that kind of a thing and stuff like that. Stephanie's probably just like, you don't fucking touch her, and like that kind of thing. And it's like,
no, Stephanie's the person who makes sure that you are like not holding hands, or like she's like sits in between you when you guys are watching a movie with each other. She'll join in when it's supposed to be just you two. That's the type of mom she is.
You guys watching a movie, huh? Yeah, well, I'm just gonna pop myself right here.
Well,
You
that's
know,
gonna be
in
awkward for the boy. Poor, like, let's not pretend that Stephanie isn't a MILF here. Like, that's
that too, yeah. Just the idea of being like, if you're not intimidated enough by me or my husband with a sledgehammer, or my father, or my brother who regularly drop kicks people with trash cans and stuff, in one phone call, I can have the Undertaker come here. It's like, I'm just not gonna date your daughter.
Fun, dude.
Hey, listen, Vince would be like, in one phone call and me signing him to another $5 million deal, Brock Lesnar will be here to kick your ass, son.
It's gotta be Kane, you know. Do you think that when like Stephanie and Triple H's kids break up with somebody, they go, "You're fired"?
I hope so. I hope Vince just shows up out of nowhere and does that. Like he's just like a ghost or like a genie that just shows up whenever someone needs to be fired.
That's what happens when Vince passes away. He's never going to really die. He's just going to become a genie. I like the idea of this. But yeah, these wrestling families are going to be fucked. That's what it boils down to. Peter asks about the Hardys too. He says, I respect Tony's opinion of not liking the final deletion, but what do the rest of you think of Bray versus Matt? Current standing is 2 loves, 3 in the middle. That's me and Tony hated.
I didn't realize that you watched it, Tony.
I didn't watch the TNA stuff or whatever like that, but
you still haven't watched the final deletion?
No.
Tony, go watch the final deletion. It's
okay.
A lot better.
I thought I missed some point when you did watch it for a second with that question.
No, I just don't like the ultimate deletion.
Dude, just go watch the final deletion. It's way better. It's funny.
It was more funny at the time, thinking, wow, this is the funniest one-off I've ever seen in wrestling. Now that it's like a thing, I started to like it less when it became a regular thing, and I really don't think WWE has done it any justice at all. When they did the final deletion itself, I thought it was funny, and I thought, well, if it's got people talking about Matt and Jeff and TNA, fine, you know, but yeah, in WWE, it just seems odd, and as apparent by Michael Cole burying the thing every time he gets on the microphone.
The only 2 things that really I thought were kind of funny were the fact that they named the drone Vanguard 1. Like, that's kind of funny to me. And Mower of Lawns.
Mower of Lawns.
That's the only thing that really made me crack up was that. The rest of it was just sort of like, all right, I get it. You know?
When WWE did the first Bray Wyatt version of it, when they went to the Wyatt compound or whatever they called it, was it that against the New Day?
Yep.
Okay.
That was
didn't the New Day just run away at the very end?
Yeah, there was just like fighting in the set of the woods, and then they like sauntered off.
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks later. Man, WWE, why the fuck did you take that idea and ran with it?
And House of Horrors match.
Oh God, that match.
I think without the Jinder involvement, I would have been fine with it. But the whole Jinder gets involved thing at the end of it really bothered me. The weird thing is that was a real house that was for sale, and they got clearance to do that shit.
That's the weird part about it.
Yeah, just because, like, well, who is in charge of, all right, pal, find me a house for sale that we can do this Randy Orton Bray Wyatt match, and then we could fuck up the house.
Well, who knows? Maybe that wasn't necessarily the question they were asking. Maybe they were like, hey, just go find something, anything. It could be bot or not. But, fuck, I was going to say something. Now I don't remember. Oh, well. It was about the House of Horrors match. That match fucking sucked. And I remember WWE put out a poll or something asking fans, what do you want to see in this House of Horrors match? As if they didn't have a fucking clue what they were doing already.
Because they
like,
had
are you
no
shitting me?
Clue.
And it was, I don't know why. I'm curious why you thought it was okay up until the Jinder part, but to me, that was one of the most boring. That was the worst one out of everything when it comes to these different videos that are already pre-planned.
I think I gave that the worst match of the year last year.
Admittedly, I can say that when it comes to the character of Bray Wyatt, I try so hard to like it because like character-based wrestling, and I wanted Bray Wyatt to mean something so bad.
Oh, I do too. I think it's a shame that he was a WWE champion for as short a time as he was, and I also think it's kind of a shame that now he's like Matt Hardy's like not even.
Sidekick.
I don't look at them as equals. Matt Hardy is obviously above Bray Wyatt.
Yeah,
and
he's
that
Matt
family.
Hardy's sidekick. I don't know why. Like
Bray Wyatt, when he debuted, like, was probably the most interesting thing they had. And even with that shitty match he had with Kane, that Inferno match with Kane, I was still interested in Bray Wyatt and what they could do with him. And I still am interested because maybe his promo skills have kind of like tampered off. They really haven't been interested in him so much. I thought he has improved in the ring every single year. And I thought Sister Abigail was one of the most interesting finishers at the time. And even the Sister Abigail character was interesting. And then they fucked it up by almost making it him cross-dressing or something like that.
See, you guys were talking about the match with the New Day, the Ultimate Deletion style match. I thought that the Wyatt family, when it was the four of them, I thought you could actually salvage the Bray Wyatt character with that. And
Braun
they
Strowman
split
there
them
as
all.
well.
Yeah, and they split them all up right after that, and Bray Wyatt's kind of tapered off ever since.
Thank you, WWE, for that brand split. That means nothing now. Well, it means something, I guess, but at some point, it's all going to be one show again.
So this is something that I'm just seeing right now. It had nothing to do with the mailbag, and it really could have been something we could have waited for the hot tags next week, but I figured we'll just throw it out now. Remember that guy, Armando Montalvo?
Yeah.
They finally got a restraining order against him.
They finally got a restraining order? They didn't have one to begin with?
Yeah.
Wow.
Long enough, right?
Yeah.
You guys already talked about Bruno yesterday?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You can go ahead and say something if you want.
I really don't have too much to say. I just found it a shame that a lot of people kind of shat on Bruno for a while. You know, I thought it was kind of a shame because he to me when I was younger, I thought it was interesting that he held the title for as long as he did. And I get that this was before and this is during territorial days, and some of it at some point it became fake and all, and it wasn't just wrestling or whatnot. But I wish they made him more of a bigger deal than what he was. I know he had issues with WWE, so that kind of made it difficult, and he was kind of a jackass in his own ways. But it sucks to hear something about that when it happens.
He got it squared up though.
I remember being younger and hearing Bruno Sammartino was champion for like 14 years, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, he must have been unstoppable. He must have been amazing."
No, I was like, Hulk Hogan held it for 3 years. You guys are making a big deal about that, while my boy Bruno held it for like 10 plus. Get the fuck out of here.
It is kind of crazy that we're at this point. We're like, "Oh my God, Brock Lesnar held the title for an entire year." And it's like, you go back in the day and it's like, yeah, Bob Backlund held it for like 5 and like whatever and stuff. Let's move on to another mailbag question here that I random aside that I did there. Do you think that Ronda Rousey, I thought this was funny. Do you think Ronda Rousey is doing the Festus act, walking down all smiles, then when the bell rings, getting intense? I think that's hilarious. I would love for somebody to ring the bell and for her to go like, bah!
It would only be better if she just had her tongue sticking out throughout it all as well.
I think they tried to get that gimmick over with her in MMA, where it was like, I could be all laughs, but then I get serious, and once that cage door closes, and that's what they're trying to do with her here. But she comes out so happy that it's almost comical by the time she gets serious.
I kind of hope that they just go with her being normal, but I'll give her a little bit of time. We'll figure it out, but I don't think she's going to join the Straight Edge Society at the end of this.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Do you think that the whole purpose of the Mixed Match Challenge was to put Ronda Rousey over? My thought is, knowing Ronda would be in a mixed tag match at Mania, the WWE created the Mixed Match Challenge to get over the idea in our head that mixed tag was good for fans, so to not shit on the Rousey match, but she killed it, so I don't think that was an issue.
I think this is an interesting question, at least, or it makes you think about it.
I didn't really think about it this way, but my impression of this, of course, could be wrong. I thought, based off of some of the rumors that had gone out and stuff, that Facebook Watch approached WWE and they said, look, we really want to run some kind of WWE show on Facebook, and WWE, according to some of the dirt sheets and stuff, they wanted to do an all women's show. And then they got cold feet and they decided maybe people won't watch it if it's an all women's show. So let's do something with women and the men. I got a feeling that maybe when they did that, they said, well, how are we going to do something with the men and the women that would be different? Why don't we do like a mixed tag thing? That way it seems a little bit special. It's not just a regular show where it's just regular matches. And they probably lumped the charity stuff in together for like a tax write-off and good publicity. Because, hey, if we're doing this thing and it doesn't work out, it was all for charity. Yay, that kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think it was anything to do with the Ronda Rousey thing. Although, if it was, they didn't do a good job of making the Mixed Match Challenge help the Ronda Rousey thing. Because not many people watch that.
I don't think it has anything to do with Rousey, but I do hope that we get a Facebook Live all women's show. And I mean, I'd rather it be off Facebook Live, but if that's the route that they want to take, sure. Just because I'd rather all the women be together in one spot.
I think, listen, if WWE is going to do a women's show and if they're not going to put it on standard television or cable, I really think they should consider reaching out to Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, Facebook Live. I think they should reach out to all these people and try to get a deal with all of them so they could put that out there on as many platforms as possible.
Well, I think that this experiment proves that Facebook Watch doesn't have a stable platform.
That's true. I just don't think many people know about Facebook Live. Or at Facebook Watch, my bad.
Yeah, it used to be Facebook Live. Now it's Facebook Watch. That confused me at first, too.
WWE is such a niche product that I don't know why they're just not trying to put all their effort into their network and just trying to get their network over, you know?
Well, I feel like they might think that it plateaued at some point. When you have a network subscription service, you have to constantly be getting new people. And honestly, what has WWE really done over the past few years, except for women's wrestling, to try and reach out there to a new audience or try to attract new people? Like, yeah, you have Roman Reigns, but a lot of people hate him. Kids, mainly kids and women, like him. The older audience doesn't. There's not that many people that they've really had that would give new people a reason to watch the show, other than women and Ronda Rousey right now.
Yeah, because if you add more indie people in there, the indie people are already watching. Nobody's going to be like, oh man, like Okada is in WWE now, or Omega. You're already the people that are already like, Finn Balor is awesome and AJ Styles is great and like that kind of a thing. So like when Adam Cole comes in, some people might watch NXT more, but it's not going to be like an extra 200,000 subscribers, you know?
Do you know
Ronda
anyone
Rousey's a big deal.
that knows WWE through their reality show stuff, like the Total Divas
Yeah.
and stuff like that?
I do. I got a few.
Yeah, Total Divas is actually one of the things that like some people I know, they only watch Total Divas.
My ex was like that as well. She loved Total Divas. I had a couple of friends I went to high school with who knew I did podcasts and I liked wrestling, and I saw them a couple years ago and I was talking to them, and then they actually talked to me about Total Divas because I would watch it occasionally still. It's sad. I watched that show for 2 fucking seasons, and I know Tony watched it for a little bit as well. And
I think
goddamn,
I watched it for 3.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tony.
Yeah, I sat through that bullshit.
Did they
I never
still do
watched Total
episodes of that
Bellas.
show?
Did I still watch
watched
what?
the first season of Total Divas, and I watched a little bit of Total Bellas.
I remember when Total Divas came out. Didn't the first episode of that air during SummerSlam, like at 10 o'clock?
Right. I think it was right after, or maybe it was the weekend before or something.
Something weird, yeah. I just can't stand reality shows. But that's one of the only things too. Like the women's market's really the only thing that they've been trying to get, and it's worked in some capacity. But again, it didn't give them 500,000 new subscribers, so they're gonna have to try some new things. And Ronda Rousey is like she did a little bit, but she's not gonna get them another million.
I would hold that for a second. I really think that WrestleMania match really surprised a lot of people. And there's been actually a few people who have talked to me about Ronda Rousey who doesn't watch wrestling because of that. So I think if they play their cards correctly with Ronda, like, yeah, she's a pretty big star, but holy shit, she might be the biggest name in that company in a couple years.
She might be.
I truly think, and I remember Peyton a podcast, or maybe it was a mailbag question a while ago, where people thought what the next generation of what they're going to focus on next. Peyton said something about women's wrestling is going to be the next thing that takes over. And when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I really fucking hope not, because women's wrestling, and to me, is still not on par with men's wrestling. But with Ronda there, I'll take that back if they play their cards correctly.
They are eventually going to get their own show. They have to.
And
speaking of that, Glow Season 2.
And Glow Season 2, June 29th. I'm ready. Are you ready, Tony?
I'm a warrior.
Bang, bang.
Wasn't that the song they used? It was, right? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm not that tired. I was able to remember that reference.
Was it I'm the Warrior, or was it Hit Me With Your Best Shot?
I think it's I'm the Warrior. Allison Brie, by the way. Oh, man. Top 10 celeb right now.
You say that every single time, Tony.
Because she really is. She is so fun.
Well, actually, I'm pretty positive anytime we talk about Glow, you bring her up.
She looks a lot like Kristen Milioti, the one who played the mother on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, see, another Mosbyism.
Oh, dude, when I saw her in the first episode of the new season of Black Mirror, I got so excited.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good episode.
No, it's an interesting episode. Like, I like the whole Star Trek thing that they kind of did with it. It was cool.
Actually, I'm going to bring that up again in a minute, but put a pin in that for now. Do you think that guys like Sabu, Sandman, Raven, Axel Rotten, Balls Mahoney, I always just laugh at the name, Stevie Richards and Tommy Dreamer will be a Legacy Award induction one day? What about RVD and Raven joining them, singles, Stevie Richards, etc.? I think you guys might agree with me on this one. Tommy Dreamer and RVD, I think, can go in on their own, but everybody else, either they're in a group or they don't get in at all.
I'm going to add to that and say Van Dam goes in first.
Yeah.
Then maybe Sabu and then Dreamer, but that's it for the ECW original guys.
Yeah. I can't imagine Sabu getting a separate induction.
I think he can.
Yeah. I think with Sabu, the only reason why with Sabu is when you think of ECW, like, yeah, you think of Sandman and, you think of these guys, but Sabu really did some crazy ass shit. And when you think of some of ECW's crazy moments, you think of Sabu and you think of how big of a name he was. But damn, when people talk about ECW, he's always like that third person that comes up. He's up there. And I think he might get one on his own. But I loved how he said Raven. I was like, yeah, fucking right. But and Balls Mahoney, he'll never go in. I don't think Vince would ever induct someone who has balls in his name.
No, especially since he's died.
Raven could go in, and I might even argue that he should, except he didn't have a very high-level WWE career.
He had a pretty good WCW career, right?
Yeah, and they do own WCW and ECW, so maybe he could go in. But I'll throw out another name that could very easily go in, and that's Taz.
Taz could go in on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with Taz, I think he would be an easy person to bring in there.
Might. If they're desperate, he might go in next year with the New York market.
Yeah, that would make sense, actually. But he brings up Stevie Richards with Right to Censor. They're not going to induct Right to Censor on their own, like as a group or anything like that. That's all separate people. We already have Ivory in. We already have Godfather in.
If they stick to their, we need 7 inductees, they might end up going that down deep.
I don't think so. I think that we're going to get to a point where when we run out of everybody, that they're going to keep it to like a strict 5.
Or 5, yeah.
Because it's already the show is long as hell, And this year they already made mention of the fact that they were like, we need to figure out a way to make it not as long this year, next time around. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if maybe there's 1 or 2 less people next year, and maybe the Legacy Award is one of the things that they've done specifically to put a lot of those people in and not take up a lot of time. Because eventually the Legacy Award is going to start getting into the people that are past that black and white type of era, and we get into like, you know, Harvey Whippleman and like the 80s type of people, and you know, like they're gonna get to that kind of stage, and then eventually, if we're talking, you know, 20 years from now or something like that, we're gonna get Legacy Award people in the 90s.
It tickles me that your go-to was Harvey Whippleman.
I don't know why Harvey Whippleman popped in my mind. Kind of weird. By the way, if you hear a bunch of noise in the background, everybody, that's my nieces and nephew. Blame them. But we're gonna continue here. Hopefully, I'll be able to edit that out. What do you think of New Orleans Health Commission saying that ROH is on the same level as WWE, being able to use banned moves while TNA and Lucha Underground are not?
That sounds about right in 2018, which is crazy. I didn't think ROH would have the lasting power to get to a point where they would be more credible than Impact Wrestling. But yeah, that sounds about right in 2018.
It's really, at this point, Ring of Honor went from being the ECW to being past Impact, and Impact went from being WCW to WCW a month before Vince McMahon bought it.
Mm-hmm.
For years. So Lucha Underground isn't anywhere near on par.
Do you watch Lucha Underground?
Still haven't seen a single episode.
That's seasonal based, and the first 2 are on Netflix. I think you should give it a shot one of these days.
I look at the structure as this. WWE's WWE, you know, ROH is kind of like the little brother of some sorts. And, you know, New Japan's like TNA, and then Lucha Underground's like ROH. Like ROH back in like 2003.
I don't consider New Japan, even though, yes, they're on Access TV, and they're probably the number 2 in notoriety in America, I still don't consider them a big deal in America because they are, at the end of the day, a Japanese company.
That's true. I think that's a fair assessment to make, because there's probably a lot of wrestling companies in England and in Europe as well, and as well as Mexico, that probably like AAA or other places like that, you know, probably could be on that same level if like they had like TV deals in the United States. So, but yeah, that's actually a fair point.
I still say if Impact and Ring of Honor joined forces, they still wouldn't come close to WWE.
Oh, without a doubt. And how is TNA still around?
Because they won't. They'll sell to anybody but Vince McMahon. If they would just let Vince buy them, because TNA's biggest asset at this point is their library, especially with the roster that WWE has. TNA's library could be great for the WWE network.
Mm-hmm. Although I don't even know if WWE
though.
$20.
like seriously though, how much would WWE buy that for? Like,
I would assume just a couple million.
The library is actually very well worth it. I can throw out a few matches that feature Hall of Famers versus modern stars that are actually decent matches, like Angle versus Joe, you know, Styles versus Sting. You have Joe versus AJ versus Daniels. You know, they have that.
Yeah,
roster.
you have Jeff Hardy versus Sting at
Yeah.
Well, okay, all right. Let's just go there. Let's just go there and shit on TNA's chest.
What do we have here?
Struck a shit.
Okay, that's the question that we were just on. Yeah, so next question we have. You said you were looking for ideas for fanboys. How about an animated Disney Pixar tournament? Only one to avoid duplication, only the franchise. So only one to avoid duplication, only the franchise. So Cars 1, 2, and 3 are all one, that kind of thing. Yeah, man, I really wish I had the time to be able to do stuff like this. Because I actually have maybe a good 30 type of segments. Actually, maybe it's not 30, maybe it's 20. That I really want to do on Fanboys, and I just don't have the time for it. When's the last time I did a movie commentary? It's been fucking forever. And I really, every time that a movie comes out and it's got something like, for instance, The Avengers, I want instinctively to do a commentary for the Avengers and for Avengers Age of Ultron. I don't have enough time to be able to do it. I'm lucky that I'm going to be able to do a review of Infinity War, and that's just a quick review type of thing. I want to do tournaments. If I bring up my list right now, because I've legitimately got a list of just segments that I can't do yet. I've got, say, all right, this one is, it doesn't have a name for it yet. It's insert name for pitch idea. But I got a bunch of different titles where it would be like people would pitch something like a TV pilot, or they would pitch like a movie idea. And there would be a panel of other people that would basically judge them if they were like a committee and go, well, what would you think about this? And what would you think about that? And then they either green light or red light it. That is something that I think would be kind of fun. I've wanted to steal this idea from Collider that they used to do, where they would do the movie rewind, where these are the movies that came out 5 years ago and the movies that came out 10 years ago, and let's talk about them. I would love to do that. I want to do live movie watch-a-thon kind of things. I've really actually, I've thought about doing it when Dace and everybody, when we all get together and we watch, all the Star Wars movies in a row. I've been like, you know what, we should just, stream this and, kind of do something like that. Sequelitis, I was going to write up a thing. It was going to be, you gotta try to figure out what the plot would be for the sequel of some kind of a movie. Cram session, that's something that I have written down. A recap of movies before the release of another movie. Screen Junkies just started doing something that's just like that, and I was like, damn, I wish I would have been able to do that ahead of time. Movie game night. There's so many things I want to do for that, but even when it comes to something as simple as a tournament, not as many people check out Fanboys. And if I were to go through all the time and effort to do a tournament, it would be really disappointing if I did, and it was 5 people voting for it. Then I would be like, all right, what's the point? You know? Even if it was 20 people voting, I would kind of be like, all right, this is a lot of work for nothing.
So if you had to drop one today, you would definitely drop Fanboys over Smark Out?
Oh, easily. Yeah, there's no question. The sad part, though, is, to be perfectly honest, if somebody gave me the money to be able to do this, and this is going to tie into the next question, I would probably work more on Fanboys if I had the funding to do it. But it's harder to get into that.
So if somebody said, I'll give you all the money to do, you can have either or. I'll give you all the money to go behind Smark Out Moment, or I'll give you all the money to go behind Fanboys. You would go with Fanboys?
If it's all the money, yeah.
Is that because it's a broader topic and you can touch
There's
more
more
with
people. There's more people that would be interested in that stuff than wrestling anyways.
This ties into the next question, because Peter says, if you had the time and the money for the amount of stuff that you would want to accomplish, what would you do, essentially? And he says that he would do a lot of, acting and singing and voiceover work and stuff like that. I have a list of so many things that I want to do for so many projects, and obviously I'm not going to announce everything, because who knows if anything will end up actually working, but I will say this, there is a web network that I had written out where there would be one centralized hub, and it would have everything from the wrestling side of things to
you told me about this.
Yeah, I told you about it. I'm pretty sure I've probably mentioned it to Drew in the past too, even.
Yeah.
But the web network would be everything from all right, say Fanboys covers movies, TV, video games, comic books, etc. Well, we wouldn't need Fanboys anymore necessarily. We would have a website dedicated to all video games, and that would have people writing up articles for it, people doing the editing for it, people doing the graphics for it, people doing the web analytics for it, people working on the behind the scenes type of stuff, kind of like a PR and marketing side, as well as a whole I guess human resources type of thing. We would have people doing podcasts for that, people doing actual video for that, and a lot of these things are things that I can't do. First off, because I don't have the time. Second, because I don't have the money. And third, because I don't have the knowledge. I would love to do actual video instead of these podcasts, but I don't have the money to be able to get the material for it. Plus, I don't really know how to. So it's like, if I had the money to be able to pay somebody that could do that, and I had the money to be able to fund, like, all right, I'm going to send out a really high quality microphone to everybody who does a podcast, and I'm going to make sure that my computer system is like fucking crazy and stuff. Well, then we'd have 5 different video game podcasts for the video game website, and a movie website, and a TV website, and we would still have Smark Out Moment, but like Fanboys Anonymous, for instance, would become this hub for, here's articles from the website that does the superhero comic book stuff, and here's articles from the video game stuff. And it would be almost like how, say, Crave Online or like Defy Media owns Screen Junkies, and they own I forget what else
they own
they own.
WrestleZone as well.
Crave does, but Defy is separate. Like, so Crave Online owns everything under like mandatory and WrestleZone and SureDog and like a lot of things like that. And it's like, you give me enough money, I would have the A Mango Tree network. There would be lots of topics that I have nothing that I would understand anything about. Like, there would be a fashion website. I don't know shit about fashion.
That's interesting.
I would own a fashion website. And
do you know off the top of your head who you would give to control a fashion website?
Nope.
Probably
that's the thing. I wouldn't
even know.
Yeah, like there would be an all generic sports website that would have the same kind of thing as like a Fanboys thing, where it would be like, all right, here are links to a site that's all about soccer, a link that is all about football, and I'd source out a bunch of different people. But one of the things if I had the money for, I'd be able to hire people that could hire people, and that they could know what we would need, because I wouldn't know where to start to be like, all right, I need to hire somebody that knows analytics. And then I'd be like, all right, do I go to LinkedIn? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would have a fucking porn website probably. Because, like, why not have a porn website where you get porn stars and they talk about porn on a podcast?
Oh.
Like, why not have that? As well as like a Pornhub type of thing.
Oh.
Like,
yeah.
because that's where you get a lot of money. I would have a conspiracy website, like AboveTopSecret.com. I'd have a cooking website, because you can have a cooking channel on YouTube, and like there would be a whole long thing that would be like that.
I sincerely hope you get the money to do this one day.
One of the things that I've always wanted to do, and I'll say it now because it's never going to happen, because I don't have the resources for it, and I don't think that anybody would really ever want to put any money into it. But I created a YouTube channel for it because I wanted to grab the name. It's called Wrong Song Lyrics. And literally the whole point of it was going to be take songs that aren't in English and try to translate them as if they were saying English words.
That's funny.
And it was all going to be like, there's a song called We Know Speak Americano.
Yep.
And it's a fucking catchy song.
Boop,
and
boop, boop,
yeah, that's like, it's just like boppy kind of song, and it's like bop bop Americano, do 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 do. But when I first heard that the first time, I thought he was saying, wait, what's the line in it? It's I just had blanked on that. It was something where it sounded like he said fuck. Oh, it's like, it sounds like he goes, oh motherfucker, something something whatever, and I'm like, that would be hilarious to see like the music video on like YouTube, and it's got like the little like song lyrics at the bottom with like the bouncing ball, and it's like follow along and sing along, and it's all lyrics that don't match up to what the song is actually saying. So it'd be like, oh motherfucker, something like that. I was like, that'd be kind of a fun project to work on. I don't have the time to do it, and I'd have to pay somebody to do it. I don't have the money to do it. So like, that's the type of stuff. If I had the money, you would see Smark Out Moment would have, for instance, that would be the wrestling website. Like I wouldn't abandon Smark Out Moment. It's my baby. If you give me the money for it, we have 5 Moves of Doom. That article covers every single person in WWE and elsewhere. And that just becomes an archive. everybody figures it out. Everybody sorts it out. It's, you know, an outsourced kind of thing. Stuff like Superstar Scores becomes maybe a weekly editorial, and everybody on the website chimes in and gives them their own scores and stuff like that. The podcast becomes, we got one day is the hot tags, and we've got one day is some kind of a special feature. One day is like a fan, like, trivia game night type of thing. One night is the mailbag, where everybody can just like live chat, kind of comment stuff. Basically, there would be like 5 days a week where we would do podcasts, but I wouldn't do it all the time. And like, I would kind of step back a little bit. I hate editing, so there would be people that would do the editing work. I wouldn't write for other websites because I don't need to write for other websites. I'm already rich, you know. I don't need to do that. So you wouldn't see me contributing to any other website unless that website was like, hey, would you like to do an interview? Like, we'd like to reach out to you, and like that kind of a collaboration type of thing. But I would do that kind of stuff, and other people would take care of the graphics work, and they would do a hell of a lot better job than I can. Other people would edit the podcast, so I don't have to do the fucking editing work. Like, that's what I would do. And just to kind of keep it a little bit separate, as far as like Peter asking, what would you do? He would want to go to acting school and stuff. There's a project that I've worked on in my spare time that I would love to do. I'll never be able to do it, but I would love to. And it's called the Superhero Blueprint, where I've been sporadically taking Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, the ones that I really know the best and really enjoy the most, and saying, look, let me try to get every single aspect of this character and like crunch it down into the smallest story possible. So I have like an outline for the Superhero Blueprint for Superman, and it's 10 stories, and that's it. So it covers Doomsday, it covers Lex Luthor, it covers everything from Smallville, and like references to the TV show, references to the animated series, references to, you know, everything. But it's only in 10 stories. The Batman one, Batman's my favorite character. I narrowed it down to 100. So I would love to pitch that to DC and be like, you know, Marvel too, and be like, how about I do the Spider-Man Blueprint? Try to make it to where if you want to know everything you know about Spider-Man, you read these 20 stories or something like that. But probably not going to happen. Yeah. But what would you guys do? If you had all the money in the world and somebody said to you, I can fund all the projects that you want to work on, you know, you can go back to school, you can do this, you could do that, what would you do?
Well, I will say that I've had an idea. If I've ever won the lottery, I'm the type of person where I would give like certain people X amount of money so they can accomplish whatever they would want to do. Like I would only expect like a certain amount of profit back of whatever they did with that money. I think my nephew's crying upstairs, so just like Tony, if you hear my nephews in the background, ignore them. They're just a bunch of crybaby bitches. So, like, for example, I thought it was like, oh, Tony's really good at, like, you know, doing all this stuff for websites, podcasts. I'd throw money his way. He could figure all that stuff out, you know. It would help upstart Smark Out Moment or whatever. And, you know, I don't know what necessarily Robert is doing necessarily, but he's
I'll get to that after you talk.
Oh, okay. Then I'd be like, I'll give him this amount of money as well. But currently right now, I mentioned on the when we were doing, not the outro, I'm so sorry, when we were doing our plugs at the end of the last time I was on, I mentioned a project I was working on, and I didn't say too much of what it was. It's a music project that I'm working on with a couple of friends because I've always been interested in music and songwriting. But when I was younger, because I had a really nice voice up until puberty, like most kids. You know,
you pulled a Homer Simpson.
Oh, super bad. It was I could sing super high, and it was awesome. And then I hit puberty, and I stopped getting a lot of the solos. Some of the music teachers, unfortunately, kind of discouraged me to sing, and they told me to focus on doing instruments, to focus on the music side, which is fine. I'm grateful for that in a lot of ways because I learned how to play a lot of instruments. But I wish that they didn't discourage me from that and would have encouraged me to maybe see a vocal instructor, someone to help me work on my vocal cords, because I don't have as much strength now and my range, and I have issues now keeping in tone and my pitch well whenever I do sing. But definitely I would take the time to learn all that I could about music. Anything and everything, I would be willing to put everything just to learn all that. I think that would be super cool.
That's
What
it.
about you, Rob?
So I'm a much less successful version of Tony. So
Nice shout out to yourself.
my projects, like if I had all the money in the world, Time Killer Apparel would turn into like an actual. I would hire people who know about fashion, and I would create like this sort of 90s vintage grungy kind of clothing line. A lot of more money would go into that. Pandemonium Mania, that would be way overhauled, and I would get people who actually know what they're doing to write articles and, try to come up with some unique ideas for content that I have, but I don't have the time, especially because I'm not getting paid to implement these ideas. There's another idea, wrestling based, I had for not like a old school newsletter, but more of like a punkish 80s style magazine that I got from watching the Heyman documentary, called that the Blade Job Chronicles. That would probably get a few editions out there. Of course, there's, families getting money to do whatever they have to do.
I always thought if I ever did like an old school newsletter that I would call it the Guerrilla Press.
That's fantastic.
I feel like you've said that. I've heard that from you before.
It's just one of those puns that I've always thought was hilarious, but I was like, I'm never going to do that.
And I would probably try to find a good cartoonist and try to just get a cartoon out there onto television. That would be a really cool dream I have. And I also want to invest a lot of time in learning Japanese and studying a whole bunch of different languages and expanding my life in that sense. And so, yeah, there's a lot of different projects and things that I would do with my money if I had like an endless supply.
You know, it's the sad thing. Whenever I always think of, and I think of this way too often, the whole idea of like, if I got $100 million or if I had $1 billion, what would I do? My gut instinct, before I even start getting into, the second thing that I think of is, all right, I'd give family members this amount of money, then use this much for work and this much for just like fun and whatever. The first thing I always think of is I'd probably go to sleep. I'd probably just go, oh man, I could fucking take a nap.
Would you do a sleep study or something like that?
Yeah, I probably should do that, really.
You should.
I probably really should have a sleep study done. But I don't have like sleep apnea or something, so that's good. But that's like my gut reaction is always like, I'd relax a little bit. I'd go on a vacation, that kind of a thing.
For sure, man.
Last one from Peter here. We've got, unless anybody else want to throw anything else out there for that.
No, I think I'm good.
I just kind of cut everybody off.
Crickets.
Yeah. You just buy a bunch of crickets. Chirp, chirp.
Yeah, that's what I would buy.
Remember that one
Chirp,
fucking
chirp.
cricket that I had? That kept popping on the podcast? That was a fucking
Holy
asshole. I hated that
shit.
thing.
Dude, that was like over a year, wasn't it?
Oh, that's way over a year ago.
It was over 2. No, I meant like, didn't that last for over a year?
Oh, no. That was like a couple weeks or something.
That was a couple
crickets
weeks.
were really bad.
Dude, I felt like we had this conversation a number of times about the cricket. And I remember one time you were complaining about it, and then it started cricketing back at you.
Yeah, that thing was such a prick. I hated that thing so much. Last question from Peter. He says, can you give some brief thoughts on this year's Smark Out Moment Hall of Fame class? Some questions I have. Are you guys like Vince, no induction for you until death? Is the women induction equivalent the impression wing, or is that the posthumous induction? One non-wrestling joke I'd love to go in was Angry Bulbasaur, who came first in thought process. Am I, and I know you didn't mean to do this on purpose, but did you make history inducting the first autistic induction into a Hall of Fame? We both know that's not the reason I'm in. Neither of us really cares. I'm an autistic induction. It's more fun trivia. Okay, so we didn't get a chance to do the Hall of Fame thing on a podcast this year because everything's been just insane. But the things that I chose for this year's induction, and partially what was chosen by the Megamaniacs, we've got the ha 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 Kennedy.
That's still one of my favorite jokes ever.
which
Did you buy the T-shirt? The T-shirt is still...
That T-shirt's been out. I don't know if anybody's ever bought any of it, but
Might
I
have
don't.
to.
I don't think a whole lot of people get the joke. Which the joke was, we had an old podcast back in the day, and when we used to have maybe 6 people on at the time, there's Wago and Peyton and Dace and everybody and stuff. We would tend to have a lot of things on the Skype chat where we would just try to make everybody laugh by just posting things in the chat, and it would be stupid things that didn't make any sense and stuff. So somebody posted in one of the times, and it was one of those celebrity resemblance things, and it was Mr. Anderson looks like Mr. Kennedy. And it was funny because it was so dumb, but we already laughed about it. We went well past that, and we were starting to talk about some other kind of topic. And this was 2 topics later or something, 3 topics later, maybe even. And somebody ends up going, and they clearly were not paying attention to what we were talking about. So then they just start laughing we were laughing at something else. And they start just going Kennedy. And it was like, wait, what? And it's so that was a great stupid ass joke. And then that just became a go-to way of showing that you weren't paying attention to what somebody was saying and you wanted to kind of undercut their joke, sort of. We did that a lot with Miguel, I kind of think, where it was just sort of Miguel would make some kind of a joke and then people would be like, Kennedy, that kind of a thing. It wasn't Miguel that did the Kennedy thing to begin with, though, but that was one of those things that I thought was funny. The angry Bulbasaur noise, being pissed off and lazy and all that, I put that in there because that really took on a life of its own when we attributed it to Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Because it was his theme just being just kind of I don't want to do fucking Vine Whip. Kind of just a dumb thing that I thought was funny. Fuck that guy club. Everybody picked Enzo Amore this year. Makes sense.
Was the voting right after he had done that thing?
It was in March.
It was early March or so.
A couple months after the fact. I think that was just fresh in everyone's mind because that definitely was the most recent event. And as much as we all love Jeff Jarrett here, he's we're all big butt buddies of his and all that kind of shit.
I fucking love Jeff Jarrett, but Jeff Jarrett's a great guy.
I'm glad that at least one person thinks that. I think Jeff Jarrett appreciates that too. But, oh God.
So I think the gag with me on these podcasts is I like the things that nobody else likes. I genuinely like Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah,
I like Dolph Ziggler too.
I like Ziggler and I like Jarrett.
I think it's just funny that Ziggler gets shat on now for doing essentially nothing. Because for a while Tony would say that that's his favorite wrestler. And do you still say that, Tony?
I still think that he's probably
the best
in the top 5 of the in-ring people. But he used to be number 1 and he's not number 1 anymore.
He kind of phones it in now, and that's kind of what sucks. And you know, I feel bad for him. I genuinely think with Ziggler, they could have made him a star.
Yeah.
They fucked that up so bad. They fucked up the cash in, the concussion thing fucked him over. I don't know why they don't do anything with him. He's good looking. He's in great shape. He's a great wrestler. He's better on the mic now than what he was before. The show off gimmick is something that's better than nothing. And Dolph Ziggler is an interesting name that stands out. However, they still do nothing with him.
Tony, we got to do the great debate, Dolph Ziggler, man.
Yeah, that's a pending future segment we've got. The impression wing for this year was AJ Styles, which, it's amazing. Now we actually got that match this year. Anytime I see an AJ Styles match or I see anyone announcer starts announcing AJ Styles, I think of that before I think of whatever's happening on TV in that moment. I busted out laughing when they were like, "All right, Shinsuke, who are you gonna fight at WrestleMania?" I was just like, I was just like, "This is perfect." And we were drunk out of our minds watching the Rumble. I almost threw up because I was laughing so hard. It was one of the funniest fucking things ever when he did that in that moment. Well, also
that
one
one-
of the funniest things ever, the tag team that was inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, picking on you for the fantasy league.
Well, you know
It's
how it is.
that we were threatening to give away your league team all the time. And that eventually, when we were naming the teams, that you became the fucking shitheaded losers.
And then it was
And then
funny
the
when
fucking
Tony
shitheaded
got-
Toozers.
Yeah, Tony's Tykes were Tony's Tykes 2 at one point.
Tony's Tykes too, yeah. And then Tony's Trikes.
Tony's Strikes. God damn it.
And Sean switching his team name every fucking week. We're the Canadian Elephants. Fun times. The main event one was Seth Rollins is a homeless, angry, suburban teenager, hungry cat, monkey, sewer rat who eats Wago's blinds. That's a mouthful. Yeah, it was one of those things where Seth Rollins came out with his music and we were like, the way that he had that grungy look and his angry, like, it was just kind of like, I hate my fucking dad. So he looked homeless at first, and then he was the angry suburban teenager. And then we started making jokes for some reason about him being like some kind of a cat. And I don't remember why. But a couple weeks later, it was like 2 weeks afterward or something, WWE on their website did a thing where they were like, look at these cat and look at these animal and human hybrids. And out of all the things that they chose, they picked Seth Rollins and a cat. And we were like, you gotta be fucking kidding me with this. And then for some reason it became a monkey, and then it became a sewer rat, and I really don't understand why.
Oh, I thought at one point WWE ended up doing like comparisons of people, and I thought they did like Seth Rollins was a rat at one point.
Oh, maybe it was a rat instead of a cat. It was one of the ones that we had done, like the cat monkey sewer rat thing, and I don't think it was a monkey. I think it was either the cat or the rat. But we also did a whole thing where Wago's cat kept trying to eat his blinds, like legitimately. It was just like kind of chewing on blinds in the background and stuff, and we attributed that to Seth Rollins somehow. So it was just a running gag that went on way too long than it should have, kind of. So now it's immortalized. Now it's in the Hall of Fame for some fucking reason. And as far as fan appreciation wing, I mean, Peter's been one of the ones that's been sticking around for such a long time and been such a, avid supporter, done more sign me ups than anybody else ever has, and so it made sense. If I'm going to give a fan appreciation thing, of course I'm going to give Peter one of those nods, and couldn't think of anybody better to put in there.
Yeah. APM was the first one, correct?
Yep. APM and Peter are the only two that are in there so far.
And I'm assuming you only go in if you're dead, like Vince McMahon kind of thing?
Yeah, as far as the question about that, I didn't really think about the idea of like inducting like people. Like legitimate people, like because the impression wing was kind of like a way to sort of do that, like, and I don't know. I mean, it's the dumbest thing in the world. It's a Hall of Fame based off of old jokes and stuff like that.
A lot of jokes we don't even do anymore.
Yeah, a lot of jokes that are RIP. But I don't know. Maybe.
I love how there's a whole page on Smark Out Moment dedicated to these jokes. So if any of you need to know what the hell we're talking about, just go to Smark Out Moment and it will tell you everything you need to know about each one.
The only wrestling website out there that I know of that has strokes its own ego enough that it has an index page of its own self-referential jokes. Most of the websites are like, hey, here's our section for news. And I'm like, I don't do news on Smark Out Moment. I talk about the old shit I think is funny. Alrighty, well, let's go to Peter's, or not Peter's, Frankie's questions. We're done, Peter's. Again, as I mentioned, took down a lot of these. We answered a lot of them already with the Superstar Shakeup and stuff already. So let's get into number one from Frankie. Were you one of those booger eating kids?
I have a good joke for this. Or not a joke, but a good story rather. So one of my friends now, he transferred schools, and his first day there, he sits next to me, and I will say I did pick my nose occasionally, but for some reason I didn't really eat them. But for some reason I ate my burger this one time, and we were sitting there, and I had my head down on the desk. I had like both of my hands around like my chin and my nose, and I have like one finger digging, of course, because that's what you do when you dig for gold. And I get it done and I eat it, and he's just staring at me this whole time, and I don't remember this, but he remembers it as me looking at him with like the face of like, I think he's fucking weird for watching me, and I go, what?
I like it.
Yeah.
I never ate my boogers.
Oh,
My
you
niece-
fucking loser.
My nieces and nephew eat their boogers, and their mother hates them for it. But yeah,
You gotta get your protein somehow, man.
Now, if we're talking picking, well, shit, everybody picks.
yeah, everybody picks.
Anyone who doesn't is a fucking liar.
Yeah, you're a liar.
This goes into a completely different side. What do you think about Trump bombing Syria?
No, I think Trump still eats his boogers. I think I can make the two go together.
Listen to me. I've got the best boogers.
My
No,
burgers taste amazing. Look, Trump burgers are coming soon to a store near you.
Look, everybody would eat my boogers if they could.
nobody picks boogers like me. My golden toilet is made up of my boogers. The great
Look, Syria said my boogers tasted bad, so that's why we're bombing them.
bombing them, making America great again.
As far as politics go, I'm never gonna say that I'm like the most well versed in it, but this seems dumb.
Yeah, it kind of is. As a Democrat, I didn't like it when Obama, like when they did the original bombings in Syria back in 2013 or whenever they did it. The Middle East situation is very complicated in a lot of ways. It's more complicated now that it seems that lines are being drawn in the sand, which is a term that Republicans use now when they define Barack Obama's stance on Syria, because he referred to it as a line in the sand that shouldn't be crossed, and they cross it anyways, and he didn't really do much about it.
He
But-
saw the line
In their strand.
God damn
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys. But honestly, I truly believe that we shouldn't be intervening in such a way, and I think it's really dumb for Trump to be interfering when he has been talking about, pulling all these people out. He wants to be in isolation, this type of thing, which is fine. I don't think the United States should be the police force of the world nowadays, but the issue with that at the same time is that there's countries like Russia and now with China, because I think China is a bigger threat to the United States than Russia is at this point when it comes to the economy. We owe China so much money, and I think it's dumb as well that Trump is trying to do this tariff war with China when we owe them so much fucking money, because for stupid shit, because we need to loan money every 5 fucking seconds because we're so far in debt. But I think that a lot of people are worried that this situation might escalate to World War III. But I'll tell you guys this: if fucking Syria is the reason why World War III starts, the Earth is really fucking dumb. Like, I truly can't fathom a world where a nuclear war happens, because the idea of that seems really, really dumb, and I don't think people are willing to do that in any situation. However, it could be scary, and I think a lot of people are scared, and a lot of people have a right to be scared of the president and his regime and his administration, because you hear a lot of bad stories about him. Some of them not true, some of them exaggerated, but then you hear people like his new national security advisor, John Bolton, who was in the Bush administration, and he was one of the people pushing for us going into the Middle East, looking for, by the way, nuclear weapons in Iraq and Iran that were never found. So thank you, John Bolton, for wasting time and effort with that. And then you have people like Mike Pompeo, who's might become the next Secretary of State, who used to be the CIA director, who's a warmonger, who's a climate change denier. That's funny. So you people have a right to be scared, because you don't know what's happening with Trump. You don't know what he's thinking. He changes what his beliefs are all the time. He doesn't have his own stance. Everything about him is bought from other people. He's just looking what's popular for him that might help him in the next election, and what might help him with his own base of supporters. So yeah, it's fucked up. It's dumb. And it's a situation that probably won't be settled soon. And it's a situation that is going to be scary for the next while or so.
I'm still convinced Trump is not the president.
You think it's someone else? You think he's
He is
like,
in
it's the
theory.
Illuminati pulling strings?
I think that Trump is the
He's a
figurehead
puppet. Yeah,
of
he's a puppet.
that
No, I
he is
refer to him
just
as that a lot too.
he's a puppet for the Republican administration, and Pence and the other people are the ones actually calling the shots. Trump goes out there. He is the guy to take a bullet if somebody were to get shot. He's the charismatic speaker to get points across that are in like a public kind of idea like that. And I think that, when's the next election? 2020, right? Yeah. So in 2 years, when we have another person running, whoever is running, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Democrat to come in, because I think at this point, Democrats, of course, hated the idea of, like, the people that are always like, I always vote Democrat, which I always think is dumb too. Like, it's like, you should pay attention to both sides, and both sides are awful.
I promise you, I would, as a Democrat, unless something really, like, if we had the Democratic version of Trump come in, I'd probably would vote down ballot Democrats. And especially now, you see some of the fucked up shit that Republicans are doing. I think I could safely say that opinion that is more validated now, because you see some of the dumb shit that they do, and I can't defend the Democrats too much, because I think all politicians are liars. All of them are only looking out for themselves, and I think that's fucked up. I think a lot of, I mean, you see, you see people, you see, like, with the tax cuts that they did last year with that new tax bill that they passed, and you look at the senators, especially on the Republican side, and you see how much tax breaks that some of them get. Some of these Republicans in office, because of that tax bill, saved over $10 million because of that. It's like, why? Why are they being benefited? And guess what? And you want to know whose tax? You want to know how much my taxes changed because of that tax bill? Zero. I get, my taxes are the exact same. So for every Republican out there who were going out there saying that my tax bills, my taxes were going to go down, you go suck a fucking dick. I don't. No,
it's a trickle down. Those employers that have all that money will be able to give you an extra 5 cents. It's like, fuck you. They're all awful. All politicians are awful.
They're awful.
And I don't trust a fucking single one of them.
So you guys don't think there's any chance in hell that we get Trump for 2 terms?
No.
Yes.
No way.
No, he might not think that. I am more scared of that than ever. I think it's very, very, very possible. And I've always been very political conscious. I have a lot of people on my father's side who are like super racist Republicans. So I've always been used to Fox News and just that crazy system of propaganda. But when I got into high school, I got surrounded with a group of people whose views were more normal, I guess what you could say. So I've been a Democrat since then. But yeah, it's very, very scary. And I think the 2018 election, I can't believe I turned this into a political podcast really fucking fast. But
you did, and I'm very impressed, actually.
I've always been interested in politics. I almost went to school for politics at one point, at least to go for political science. But with the 2018 election, it's very, very, very important that Democrats get. I think it's very important for everyone to vote, regardless of what you believe in. I think it's very important for everyone to have that right to vote, and I think it's important for everyone to go out and vote, even if it's on years like in 2018 when there's not a presidential election. Because boy, if Democrats do not get either the House or the Senate back with a majority, I am very, very nervous for the next 2 years. So, let alone after 2020. And
I'm hoping what happens here is that we get a scenario where, see, my theory is we went through 8 years of Bush, and Bush maybe didn't win to begin with. That's all, kind of weird with Gore. So Bush gets in the office, and he was in office for what, a year? And then 9/11 happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, just about.
There's stuff ahead of time of Bush saying only wartime presidents are remembered. And it's like, that's pretty suspicious. And when you're in the middle of a war, I think it's a lot easier for people to go, well, I want to keep the current administration, because what if we are in the middle of a war and we switch administrations and they don't do anything better, and they're confused and it's going to take them time to learn and whatever. I think that's why Bush got that second term. And then we went through where everybody's like, I'm fucking sick and tired of this Bush thing. And then we got Obama. I think the 8 years of Obama turned around the group of people that hated Obama, and then they became like militantly like fuck everything that's like not, horrible and shit, like, and they became like extremely racist, and they became extremely anti-democratic and whatever. Meanwhile, at the same time, there's a lot of extremists on the Democratic side of things that are like batshit crazy.
Oh yeah.
The type of people that are like, your website has white text and that offends me because it's white, and like stuff like that, where it would just be like, oh my God, like you can't do anything nowadays. Like extremists on anything. Same thing when it comes to even like wrestling. The people that used to be like, you watch WWE, you're a fucking mark, like whatever. That's like, if you're an extremist for anything, you're fucking retarded. But I think that became like, well, we had 8 years of Obama, and a lot of people really got upset about that, and they turned around and they said, I'm voting Republican no matter what. And Hillary Clinton, of course, a lot of people hated Hillary, so the Democratic side didn't really support Hillary. And then you got people like me. Admittedly, I was like, well, I don't really like Hillary. I don't really like Trump. At least with Trump, it might be kind of funny. And a lot of people voted that way. And I don't know a single person that wanted Hillary and is happy with Trump. But I know a lot of people that wanted Trump and are going, yeah, that was a mistake.
Well,
So I think what we're going to get this time is we're going to get a splashback of people going, all right, we really need to go out and we really need to vote against Trump. And if the Democratic side doesn't fuck up and do something like a Hillary again, all the person really has to do is go, yeah, but I'm not Trump. And then people will be like, all right, I'm going to vote for him, like, or her, that kind of a thing.
I definitely believe that a good portion of why Trump is president is because people were just like, as stupid as it sounds, oh man, think of the memes we're going to get here.
Yep.
Like, holy shit, Trump is going to be president and it's going to be crazy. And I don't think that people, and that anyone who thought that way is okay with what they have right now. But I do think that there's enough actual extremists that believe in Trump and weren't in it for the memes that are going to stick to the way things are right now. As scary as
I don't think it'll
sounds.
be a blowout, but I think we're going to, I'm hoping at the very least, when it comes to like the Senate and everything, that people go like predominantly Democrat. And then for the election for the president, I hope we get another Democrat, because I think we need 4 years of healing from this. Yeah. But Syria, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
scary
know.
situation, but hopefully it doesn't lead to World War III.
If you gave me the button and asked me whether we should push it, I would be like, I need more information. That's that kind of thing. Maybe if I were in those kind of shoes, maybe I would make the same call. I don't know. I know I wouldn't do it the same way. I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't be on some kind of a scandal for fucking the porn star thing and stuff like that. So.
Whenever we do talk about politics on a wrestling podcast, I really feel like it's not well received, especially since I feel like all three of us are relatively more on the Democratic side than the Republican side. And this is not me shitting on wrestling fans. Every wrestling fan has a right to their own opinion. But I feel like more wrestling fans are Republicans than they are Democrats. So I feel like it's a very...
I don't know about that. I think more people in the business are Republicans.
Well, my bad. I think most wrestlers are Democrats, but I think fans in particular. I've been on a lot of wrestling forums, especially around the time that the election happened. All you would see is just a bunch of people going "fuck Hillary," and it was just a bunch of Pepe the Frog memes. So,
God damn
it. So that concerned me a tiny bit. But I'm surprised. I was just saying that it doesn't. I'm actually a little shocked that it. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe this will get a lot of backlash. But I'm surprised that talking about politics on a wrestling podcast doesn't get as much backlash as I would think it would.
I don't think enough of the people that would get triggered by what we're saying listen to the podcast.
Plus, backlash is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Give me 2 weeks.
But
Another question from Frankie here. Who was your oldest friend and how did you meet them? This is actually kind of a funny story. My oldest friend, I met him in elementary school, and a mutual friend said, hey, do you know Alex? And I was like, no, I've heard of him, but like I never met him before. And he goes, oh, he's an Undertaker fan. Like, you guys should meet. Like, you both really like The Undertaker. And I was like, all right, cool. So we're in the cafeteria for lunch, and right next to my table was what they called the detainment table, which was if you were bad, you got sent to the detainment table. You didn't get to sit with your friends and that kind of a thing. And Alex was there. So my friend at the time, Dave, he's like, "Oh, that's my buddy Alex that I was talking to you about. Like, he's the Undertaker fan and whatever." And I was like, "Oh, hey, like, nice to meet you, whatever." And I'm like, "Why are you in detainment?" And he's like, "Oh, I just fucking like did whatever. I said something stupid and like pissed off a teacher or whatever like that." So then Alex decides he's bored and he squirts High C all over the table. And one of the cafeteria aides is just like, "Alex, like, Jesus Christ, you're already in trouble. What the fuck are you doing now?" And he's just like, "What? I'm fucking like bored or whatever." My very first impression of my best friend was he is already in trouble and he gets in trouble again, but he likes the Undertaker. So it's like, and I've known that dude since I was, I don't know, 9. So like 20 years, 21 years, something like that.
Very cool.
What about you guys? What's your oldest friend? If you want to throw out anything there, or if you're not, then whatever.
Go ahead, Drew.
Oh, ooh, I'll go. Since you both have the same.
So I was eating my boogers one time.
Yeah, eating my burgers, and shit. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might be the oldest one. I'm still friends with him. I don't talk to him as much. I mean, most of my friends I met through sports, so I'm not going to consider any of them. The most interesting story that I have of a friend that, like, my best friend, who I regularly still hang out with, almost every week still, is my friend Luke. And I met him through my friend Patrick, who actually, Luke and Patrick were the two that did the Bo Burnham outro. So I met Luke through Patrick in a way. I knew Luke. I had algebra 2 with him, but he thought I was one of those kids. Whenever like the teacher talked, I always try to get a smart comment to get a couple laughs. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's like, Drew, shut the fuck up. I mean, you know that, Tony. So
yeah, I was exactly the same.
Yeah. So he thought I was annoying a little bit through that. We didn't talk to him at the time. That was our sophomore year. Senior year, we had another class with each other. And I made a joke that I'm not going to make on here because I was young and dumb and stupid and it's a little offensive. So I'm not going to make the same joke, but I'll tell you guys after the fact.
This is back when you were a Republican.
No. I think this is more along the lines when you're younger, you don't realize what you're saying, how it might affect someone else. So it's one of those like, oh, he's just tone deaf to what's actually going on around him.
Kind of like me with if you just hold up both your hands.
Maybe. So when I was younger, I used to watch the show America's Best Dance Crew, and my friend Luke, he looked like this guy named Dietrich, who is now like a YouTube personality. He does like a bunch of other stuff. And I told him this, and he was like, "No fucking way, I love that show." So we started talking in class. My friend, I was working at a pizza place at the time, and it was New Year's Eve. And my friend Patrick, I didn't have any New Year's Eve plan. I was going to just go home. My friend Patrick calls me and I'm like, "Yo, do you want to come hang out with us at Luke's house?" I was like, sure. I didn't know Luke that well, but I thought, why not? I haven't really hung out with Patrick in a while. So I go hang out with Luke and Patrick and a couple other people. And my friend Luke, it's New Year's Eve. They like drinking. I'm not a big drinker, but they liked drinking at the time. My friend Luke gets pre-games and gets absolutely smashed before everyone else shows up. And then when we all get to his house, I didn't know this, but my friend Patrick goes, "Hey, we're actually going to go to our other friend's house and we're not going to drink. We're just going to play pool." So my smashed ass friend was like, "What the fuck?" And I felt bad. So I took a couple shots with him so he wasn't alone. And we just hung out and, we watched whatever was on TV and we talked. And I learned then that I had more in common than him than what I thought. And now he's my best friend. And, I lived with him for about 2 years, essentially. So he's a good guy.
All right. I do not have any of the people that I used to go to elementary school or even high school with. Fell out with those people entirely. My oldest friend would be a girl named Kiara, who used to be my ex's best friend, but they're no longer friends and I'm no longer with her, but we stayed in contact, so she is by default my oldest friend, so shout out to her.
What 3 words best describe you? I'm going to switch this up.
Yep.
Because I think it's hard to describe ourselves because it's like, oh, I think I'm tenacious and like that kind of thing. It's like, whatever. But 3 words to describe everybody else that's on here.
All right.
One word for Tony is doesn't. Well, man, that's more than one word. For Tony, overachieving might be one. Workaholic.
And doesn't.
Well, that's 2. I was hoping Robert would give me one.
Okay, for Tony, driven, workaholic, insomniac.
Makes a lot of sense.
Insomniac's a good one.
Drew, admittedly, this is only like the 3rd time I'm talking to you, but sharp, wacky, and I can't think of a 3rd. Also conscious, I'll say.
Conscious. Ooh.
The first thing I thought of for Drew was twitchy.
I used to be a lot more twitchy. So. Oh my gosh.
This isn't a word that describes Drew, but I always think of like when you like the act of like giving somebody noogies.
Twerp.
Sport. There you go. All right, the 3 words that describe Drew: sport, scout, and squirt.
The 3 S's.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That awkward silence. I know...
Rob, I'd say loyal. You're dedicated as well.
I would say dedicated as well. I don't know. Like I said, this is like the 3rd or 4th podcast I think I've done with Rob as well. And I didn't realize that you had other side projects as well.
Yeah, I have a lot going on.
Yeah. So a word I was going to say was dedicated.
Ambitious, I would say too.
Damn. I was just thinking of ambitious as well, Tony. Jesus Christ.
These are great adjectives. Thank you so much. Loyal, loyal, dedicated, and ambitious.
I think I'm going to switch ambitious for sucks.
You.
I gotcha.
So here's the 3 words. Doesn't. But yeah, I want to know what everybody else has to say about these. So what 3 words describe us from your side of things? Make sure you leave comments below about that, because I'm really curious to see if people will be like, all right, like, and for the people that aren't on the show too, like, what 3 words would describe Callum? What 3 words would describe Wago? Asshole's got to be one of them for Wago. Wago's a fucking brick.
Fucking
actually, Wago should probably be cunt, bell end.
I don't
know.
I know he hasn't done this in a couple years now, but I'm really curious if anyone remembers Sean and what they would describe him as.
Drunk.
Every night.
Let's see. Spaced, I guess.
Fuck, what? He used to say a word all the time.
Fucking hell.
Maybe that one. Fucking hell.
Happy days.
Happy days.
I know at least one of them for Peyton would be controversial or confrontational. That's our go-to. Is confrontational Peyton.
I don't know what not confrontational, but the fact that we called him confrontational.
I mean, he got so confrontational about that. That was what's so funny about it. Oh, here comes confrontational Peyton. I'm not being confrontational. Oh, look at that. He's being confrontational. Like Kaylin. What would be the 3 words to describe Kaylin?
Bruce. No, wait. Kaylin.
Girl's name?
Ryan.
Actually, for the first thing I would think of for Angie would be sweet. Angie's a sweetheart.
No, yeah, Angie's adorable. So yeah, that's definitely be one of them as well. Dude, she like knits and shit, and she makes like toys. I think that's cool as fuck. I can't hate that.
Yeah, so leave your comments below. Tell us what you think the 3 words are that describe us. I think that'll be really fun.
For Caroline.
I was trying to think of 3 for Callum, but I
meek.
Jesus. The word reserves comes to mind because he's very
he's very reserved.
He's very chill, you know, like
I think for Callum, I think quiet might be because he's very laid back in a way. He doesn't get too loud for the most part. He stays in one tone for the most part, which is nothing wrong with that. I just think it's
Unconfrontational.
Unconfrontational Callum.
As long as you don't bring up Dolph Ziggler.
We should just have Callum and Peyton in a split crowd argument, and then it could be like one of them disagrees for the sake of disagreeing, and the other one's like, all right, I kind of agree.
Last mailbag, Callum did something, and he sounded like Mrs. Doubtfire, and I still do that like twice a week, and I laugh every single time.
What was it like? Hello.
Yeah.
It's run by fruiting. Will the entire Shield be inducted into the Hall of Fame twice, once as individuals and once as a faction?
Yep.
I don't think so.
Absolutely they will. Not for a while, but absolutely they will.
So I'm actually concerned about Dean Ambrose. And I'm concerned.
I think that all three have won enough titles that they can go in separately.
Yeah, but I think I would not be surprised at some point if Dean has like bad blood with WWE. For like,
if anybody were to leave, it would be him.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if the Shield will get inducted to the Hall of Fame on their own, and then they all get inducted separately. And I say that because I don't think the Shield was as big as like DX. I don't think they were as big as like the Four Horsemen, NWO. I don't think they're on the same level as all of them. I think at some point they might run out of ideas, so of course they might do that. But I don't. That would not be. I wouldn't do that if I was WWE or if I was in charge of all of that.
I think you're looking at that with like a certain level of, I don't know how long you've been watching wrestling, but I don't want to say nostalgia, but maybe you've been watching long enough that by the time the Shield came around, you didn't see them as that big of a deal. But for a lot of people, the Shield was the first really dominant, really impactful faction that they saw.
Oh, I know. Fun fact about me, I don't know if you know this. I was at the show where they debuted at, and I was at the show where Seth Rollins turned on them, because both of those were in Indianapolis. Which is so fucking weird that they did both of those in Indianapolis out of all the fucking places they could have done that at.
They probably did it story-wise. I'm surprised they never brought that up, actually.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. Evolution isn't going in as Evolution.
Yeah, they will.
And Legacy
confident in that, Robert.
aren't going in as Legacy. The only thing that we've gotten really has been legit tag teams like the Road Warriors, or we've gotten the Four Horsemen.
I think the NWO would have gone in had Hogan not gotten
I don't think so.
exiled.
I think that like they even didn't do DX together.
Not yet.
Like I could see them doing X-Pac separately and New Age Outlaws together rather than do DX.
Well,
I think that maybe we get the Hart Foundation as a group just because Owen and Bulldog are dead.
Yeah.
And it's like hard to kind of do those separately and then also do Neidhart separately, but like they might just do like the Hart Foundation as like everybody.
With the NWO, it'd be really hard to have everyone who was ever in the NWO and NWO Wolfpack and whatever fucking NWOs there is with like everyone on stage with them.
Yeah, you got Virgil and Conan and Horace Hogan, shit like that.
Well,
like,
I think if the NWO got inducted, it would be the additional three, and if they were going to stretch it out, it'd probably be Macho, Kid, and Big Show.
Yeah, and I think that's just like everybody goes in separate.
I don't know. Maybe Eric Bischoff makes a surprise appearance. Actually, maybe that's how they get Bischoff inducted into the Hall of Fame. Is through the NWO
on his own, I think.
Does he still have bad blood with WWE?
No, he's kissed and made up. He's done a lot of stuff for them.
Okay,
I think maybe the ECW stuff we were talking about earlier, maybe we get like a group induction for ECW, and they call them like the ECW Originals.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I don't think many stables go in, and I think that the Shield are all going to go in separately. But another question about this, do you think when Roman Reigns gets inducted as a headliner for the Hall of Fame that he will get booed? If they keep doing the shit that they've been doing, he will.
You know, and we'll talk about this more next week when we're doing the Greatest Royal Rumble, but if they keep doing what they're doing, Roman isn't going to be seen as that big of a deal.
The way that they booked him leading up to Mania, yeah. That was bad.
I
I've been looking back at that more. WrestleMania was a great show. I was a little high on the show at the time because I always enjoy WrestleMania. Looking back on it, that main event kind of fucking sucked.
Dude, I
And the
just
booking of
rewatched
that,
it before this podcast. That was brutal. There was like, if we act like kayfabe is real for a second, there's no way that Roman deserves another match. Roman got his ass handed to
Destroyed.
him by Brock Lesnar.
that was
Yep.
bad.
That was
I don't
real
know
bad.
why they're. And this match is in a cage match, right?
Yeah, this is a cage match.
Yeah. This card, they got a cage match, a ladder match, a 50-man Royal Rumble, and a casket match.
God, that's
Crazy.
dude. This is what I would do if this was GM mode on SmackDown versus Raw.
That's exactly
Right?
what I
Yeah.
said. That's exactly what I said in the group chat. This is GM mode SmackDown versus Raw 06, and I booked the card. Like, I was 12 years old, you know? Like,
John Cena versus Triple H. Undertaker in a casket match. A 50-man Royal. It's like, what? All right, well, why don't you also do like the first ever Gauntlet Money in the Bank Battle Royal, every championship on the line, Inferno First Blood ambulance match.
I still cannot believe that the title isn't on the line in the 50-man Royal Rumble under the premise even Brock Lesnar cannot take 49 guys.
Because he drops it to Reigns.
Is it? Have they announced any stipulation for the winner of that match, or is it just
No,
a
they win
giant battle
a
royal?
trophy and that's it.
Are they really? Did they really announce the trophy? I thought you were being funny with that.
No, they actually have a picture of the trophy.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it doesn't look like a vagina. So
Also,
No,
is it
because
like
women are banned in Saudi
is-
Arabia?
Oh,
that's
God.
true. And it's just a giant penis.
is this like the Royal Rumble where we go one at a time, comes out after X amount of time, or is this gonna be one of those matches where it turns out there's 50 fucking people in that ring?
You can't
No,
hold
it's
50 people in a ring, bro.
No,
It's
dude, they can
the,
make that ring
um,
bigger. Like there's stuff.
it's the time one.
Okay, I mean shit. Didn't they do fucking rings for War Games?
3 wings. 3 rings.
Three.
No,
So
3 wings.
James.
we. God. So
Woman Wayne's was in the 3 wings.
well, sometimes I mean, I would never be surprised if like for something like this, if they just made the ring a little bigger. Even if it would be fucking weird for every other match on the card. But yeah, it would be kind of hard to do 50 fucking people in a ring at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cesaro, is he Hall of Fame bound?
Nah,
I
not
don't think so right now.
not right now. Anyway, they're gonna run out of people, and he'll eventually go in, but not right now.
When Cesaro ever gets his sympathy WWE title run, because he'll probably just get one and it lasts a few months and it turns out just to be a transitional reign until Roman Reigns wins it or something like that. But until you see that happens, I don't know if he'll be in. And that's not a slight on him because I think he's a fantastic wrestler. I just think the way WWE has booked him, you know, he had a couple bad periods because you got to remember he was fucking teaming with Jack Swagger at one point.
He was yodeling
Yeah.
at one point, bro. He was.
He was yodeling. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was with Oksana, feuding with Teddy Long.
They made him German at one point and not from Switzerland.
If he splits up with Sheamus and he gets that main event push on SmackDown this year, then yeah, he might go into the Hall of Fame in the future. But this is going to be a really trying year for him. Right now, if he were to like go down with an injury and he's done, I don't think he goes in the Hall of Fame.
Shit, if he gets an injury right now, I would not be surprised if he would be when he gets back. He'd be lower on the card. I think with him because he's had a few injuries. This wouldn't be the first one with him. I think they're just really afraid to push him because of the injuries at this point.
I think they just think that he's a workhorse and he doesn't deserve to be like an over the top character.
Well, I mean, Austin asked Vince straight up on the podcast, "Why aren't you pushing Cesaro?" And he's like, "I don't think he's connecting with the fans in a vocal sense or from a language sense. Maybe it's a language barrier, you know." I think Vince just doesn't see a big foreign guy as, you know, smooth as Cesaro is, as a face of his company.
Yeah. SmackDown might help though.
I thought Paul Heyman was going to help. I kind of, you know,
Me too.
I think they did the Paul Heyman stuff with him and Curtis Axel, and if they would have just treated it as big of a deal as fans saw it as, hey, Paul Heyman's getting this guy over on the show, they could have done something with it, but they decided to make it, hey, my client Brock Lesnar broke the Undertaker streak, and by the way, here's Cesaro.
You know what? If you know what they really could have done? What if, like, at some point they could have done something where Paul Heyman has so many clients because he keeps on getting new clients because of the success he has with Brock Lesnar and the success he has with everyone else afterwards. They easily could have done like Paul Heyman's like clients versus WWE at some point,
Well,
and like they could have done a Survivor Series match like that.
I thought
Heyman
we
Worldwide,
a Dangerous Alliance 2.0 with like, you have Lesnar as the top guy, you have Ryback and Curtis Axel as your tag team, and then you
RVD.
have Cesaro. Like, even if you just kept it to those 4 guys, that's all you would need.
In 2013, at different points in 2013, he had Brock Lesnar, Punk, Ryback, and then he had Curtis Axel and Cesaro. Like, that's a very fucking strong 5. Even in 2013, because Curtis Axel was the IC champion and he had multiple wins at Triple H on Raw.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
Another question here: do you think Charlotte will be the first woman to ever headline a Hall of Fame class?
Yes.
Yeah. She had to be
I'll put it out there.
First.
That's the thing. I'll put it out there. She might not be the first, but she will. You know, like, she will be a Hall of Fame headliner, but she might not be the first one to do it.
She had
they
to
might
be the
put somebody
first
else
one
in there.
to end Asuka's streak just because. Salty about that, guys.
Oh, it's okay. I think a lot of people are a little salty about that. I don't know why they. I know why. I don't know why they did that. Actually, now I think about it, but oh well. But I when it comes, there's no one that's not in WWE right now on the female side that would ever headline a WrestleMania class. So Charlotte has at least that going for her. And other than Ronda Rousey and maybe Asuka, there's like no one else on that roster who deserves it. So I would never consider Sasha.
I think Sasha could.
Yeah, I think Sasha could if they change the way they book her and make her an actual star. Because right now she's not. She never got a win over Charlotte on a pay-per-view, and you know that was dumb. I do hope they do with Sasha because I do like Sasha to a certain extent. I just think that they booked her not poorly, but definitely not as well as they could have.
Well,
Bayley,
you would agree with this, right? Sasha is more of a credible Hall of Famer right now than a Cesaro.
Oh, I think so.
Sasha is.
She's a 4-time women's champion. And then
not even that. Just like the amount of historic things that she's done. First Chamber, first Rumble, first Hell in a Cell, first Women's Main Event. You can go on and on. She's had a historic career.
Yeah, but Cesaro was never given the same opportunities because he wasn't around in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. But then that's just a matter of being at the right place at the right time. Sasha came in wrestling right when the women's fucking revolution essentially started. And I guess you got to make a fair point. Ooh, we didn't talk about this, but would you be surprised if like the 4 horsewomen made it into the WWE Hall of Fame as a stable for their part in the women's revolution, and then each one on their own?
They're not going to make it in as a stable, but they will do the click thing every year where they all get on stage after the person says their piece and hold up the 4 fingers.
Yep. Click thing. Another question we got here. If you had to change your name, what would you change it to?
Something other than DeFelice. I mean, I'm fine with the name Robert, I guess, but the name DeFelice it's annoying to have to spell it out to people every time I'm on the phone, and yeah, something else.
You don't strike me as a Robert.
What do I strike you as?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm bringing up because I always fucking have a list for everything. I have a list of like pretty much every male name that exists from when I was like writing my own like stories and stuff like that. But if you were to say like, all right, pick your name for you, I never would have thought Robert necessarily. I'm gonna look through this list while I'm thinking about that for both of you. But Drew, you kind of strike me a little bit as a Drew, but maybe not necessarily as a Drew either.
What's up? I'm sorry. Like
Like,
I'm sorry, like my nephew and like a dog just came down right as that the next question started. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so
it's
this question is: if you had to change your name, what would you change it to?
Oh,
Yeah.
I like the name Michael Carter at one point. There's been multiple parts where I wanted to change my last name to my stepfather's last name because I don't have a really good relationship with my father, and I'm more closer than my stepdad than my father. But I like my name now. I used to hate it. My middle name's Addison. I would change that if anything. Yeah. So it's Andrew Addison White II. I don't
Forgot
know.
about that.
Addison is my great grandmother's maiden name or something like that. So I mean that's cool. But I was like, why couldn't my sister get that then? Why do we both have to have female names or some shit? Oh well. But
if I had
yeah.
to change my middle name, it'd be something with a V, just so I could walk around with the initials RVD.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
So a real quick cursory glance at this list. I could see Drew being a Casey.
Casey
With a
White.
K
That
or
sounds
C.
like, I don't know why that stood out to me, but that stood out to me as maybe a different thing for Drew. I could also see Drew being a Todd.
I know Todd. I
Like maybe a Peter, but not so much. Maybe like I can't picture you with like an M name, or maybe like, no, you know what? No, not that one either.
Well, I like the name Tony for you just because I've grown accustomed to singing that Tony the Tiger song every time.
I can't think of a single name that I think fits me.
Tony Mango.
I've like legitimately I've done this before so many times where I've asked other people what they would think that a better name would suit me or something like that would be. Like, even just with Caroline, like I think that like Caroline looks like a Diane to me a little bit, and like weird things like that. And yeah, I'll go through every once in a while and I'll look at people like I have a picture of my friend Larry, and I'm like, dude, you're totally like a Douglas. You're not a Larry, like that kind of a thing and stuff. But I can't, like, I've had people say, oh, you look like a Ryan. And I'm like, I don't look like a Ryan. And then it's like, well, you look like a Michael. I don't think I look like a Michael either. And there's been like never been a single thing that I've thought makes a lot of sense. You know, I don't think I look like a Montgomery or like a Frederick or something. Drew, you could be a Freddy.
Yeah, Freddy Cougar or something like that. But not Krueger, Freddy Cougar.
Yeah.
For Rob, I don't know. I mean, Robert doesn't strike me for you. I could maybe see you being like a Dante.
All right, I can go with that.
Dante's Inferno.
Or something like Reese, like RHYS. Something like a little bit more on like the, not like David, Daniel, Michael, Christopher, like that kind of a thing. William, like, but not, you know, Jethro. It's, I don't think anybody on this show is a Jimbo or whatever.
Reese, I like it.
I wish I could at least talk to Jimbo from South Park once.
Coming right for us.
I was watching the episode about the South Park flag the other day.
Which one was the flag one?
Where Chef wants the flag changed because
Oh yeah, the people, and they're all like the black people
And
silhouette kind of thing.
they're lynching a black person.
Yeah, okay, I remember that one. That was a funny one. I like that.
The funniest
Isn't
one
it kind of weird that some names like stand out though? Like if you were to be like Milton, it's like, all right, that's a dork. Like you're never gonna have like, oh, that I don't know, he was a really good looking actor or something like that that's out now, like a
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, a Ryan Gosling or something. He's never gonna be Elvin. Like, you know, Elvin's gonna be like, no, Melvin, no, I've got allergies, like that kind of a thing. It's like that's just gonna be the case, you know.
The
I don't know, yeah.
sound.
Zachary, like I think of like a Zach is like a kind of cool guy, but like,
Yeah, I think Surfer Dude when I think Zach.
you know, Winthrop, you know, you're a stuffy old dude in like I don't know, in a museum. You're Winthrop, the fucking butler, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like
You can't ever name your kid Jeeves and not be a butler.
You don't hear the name like Betty. If I see a Betty, I'm picturing like an old woman.
Yeah, she is like a pinup in the 1950s.
Yes.
And I'm just as much. I mean, it sounds kind of racist to say, but it's like if I saw somebody that looked like Drew or I, and they were named Jamal, I'd be like,
what?
Huh. Like, it's just that some of those things happen like that. So I don't know. Leave your comments below and say that too. Like, who do we look like? Is it kind of one of those things where it's like, I mean, some of you might not even know what we look like necessarily, but
yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
you know, my picture is all over the place on the internet. So am I a fucking, I don't know, Jacob, or am I Oswald? Like, I don't fucking know.
What about Johnny for Tony?
If he's like a Johnny Rocket.
Just
Yeah.
a burger. I was disappointed with Johnny Rockets. I had them twice. Didn't like it either time.
I really used to like their milkshakes.
I didn't have a milkshake. Now I'm fucking hungry. What's the best show that is currently on TV? I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but to piggyback off of what Drew said earlier, Black Mirror has a damn good track record.
Yeah.
It really does.
From a Netflix standpoint, gotta be Black Mirror. Stranger Things.
maybe
Well,
yeah, Stranger Things is up there. That is for sure. I would throw Westworld out there as
Mhm.
probably my favorite. I really like Lucifer. It's not for everybody.
I know I'm gonna be the only
I've
one to say this, but on the CW, the only show that I watch is Riverdale.
I know Frankie likes it.
Well, you know,
I was really surprised in how much I've been liking AP Bio. That show is funny as hell. I'm also like, oddly, I really like Atlanta.
Atlanta is a fucking incredible show. That is my
everything he
second
does is
favorite show.
great.
Oh, I'm excited for the SNL where Donald Glover is going to be acting, and then he's going to host it, and then he's going to perform as Childish Gambino. I'm really excited for that.
he's pulling a McFoley. Royal Rumble '98.
Did you see the Teddy Perkins episode?
Yes,
That was fucked up.
I know, dude. This season of SNL has been fucking weird. Like,
Oh, not SNL though. I haven't seen any SNL. I'm talking about Atlanta. The Teddy Perkins
oh
thing.
yeah, that as well, dude. Jesus Christ, dude. I will tell you with Atlanta though that I have a hard time trying to convince people to watch that show because it's all based on like the Atlanta rap scene in a lot of ways. And if you only watch the first 2 episodes, you get spoiler. It's not that big fucking of a deal. It only happens once, but you find out that the rapper Paperboy is the drug dealer for fucking Migos, and you watch them like shoot some random guy for no fucking reason. And that's like a terrible place to just leave off at if you never watch another episode. But Jesus Christ, Atlanta is such an interesting show.
Every episode is so different. It's so weird.
I thought like
And it's like, my favorite thing on Atlanta was that one episode of The Interview
yeah,
where they kept like the TV show. I was in fucking tears at that that Arizona iced tea commercial.
yes.
Where
Oh.
it's like, the price is on the can though. Kind of thing. I was busting out laughing at that. I thought that was so goddamn funny. But I recommend that show. But I recommend that being one of those things where it's like, it's not for everybody. And I don't have a clue why it's for me, because I am not connected to that scene whatsoever. I do not give a shit about rap. I am painfully white. You know?
I tell people when you watch that show that it's based on rap, but like that might be like one of the main plots about it. But there's so much you could take from that show outside of that. Like it's
Mhm.
incredibly clever. One of the funniest things that Donald Glover actually has done recently, I don't know if you saw this, but he wrote an episode of what was his like the last episode of a Deadpool animated show or something like that, and he wrote the whole episode, and I thought it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. He is such an interesting fucking person, and
He was great on Community too.
Oh.
And Derek Comedy for that matter.
Community is one of, but I didn't watch that when it came out. I started watching it in about 2013, so what would that be, season 4 or so? But So that's actually the bad season because that's the season that Dan Harmon didn't even fucking write. But
That's the gas leak season.
yeah, but God, that show's really good. And Dan Harmon is I think he is an underrated writer and director in a lot of ways.
Rick and Morty, anybody?
Oh yeah,
Never seen Rick and Morty.
You should.
You need to.
Like if you're like it. I think what happened now, a lot of people are obsessed with that show because it's very, very clever. I think it's overrated in a lot of ways because people like will jack off and act like it's the greatest fucking thing. Yeah, like I'm not. I think it's the best animated show on television, hands down. I don't know if it's the best show overall, but it's so interesting and like they talk about so many different things, and it's one of those shows that make you think but laugh at the same time. Like Black Mirror makes you think about technology and how it could be used incorrectly in the future and how it could lead to possibly the downfall of society in a lot of ways.
Black Mirror is scary as shit.
Yeah.
My favorite episode of Black Mirror is the one where like social media ratings become basically your credit score.
The one with Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fucked up one.
The Christmas special is interesting as hell.
John Hamm, that one?
Yes. Wait, my bad. Is that the one where like their people are trapped in the cabin and they're telling why they're stuck in the cabin?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, my bad. That episode's interesting, and the ending of it is just fucked up, and just like the idea I don't want to spoil too much, but the idea of how it ends is kind of really, really interesting. And I mentioned the Star Trek episode earlier. That one's not really great that's not one of the better episodes of the series, but it's just a fun opening to a season.
Yeah.
And then,
this was a weird season.
Yeah, it's definitely not one of my favorite seasons. I think series 3 is probably my favorite, only because I like the video game episode just because that's something that I would like to see someday. The child pornography episode is kind of fucked up.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that one's fucked up. The episode where everyone has like in everyone's brain there's a chip and you could go back and watch memories, and essentially that couple is like they're having sex with each other, but they are going through better memories so they can enjoy the experience better. That one is an incredibly interesting episode. And then obviously the Prime Minister episode is weird as frick.
Yeah, if you watch the first episode of Black Mirror, you know what you're getting into from then on. And it's like, I didn't have a clue what the show was. Caroline was just kind of like, you should watch this show called Black Mirror. It's really good. And I was like, all right, fine. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, the Prime Minister is going to fuck a pig? Why are we watching this? That kind of a thing. And I'm like, okay, not every episode's about fucking pigs, right? Like, that kind of thing. And it was like... And then by the second episode, I was like, "Oh, I get it. Black Mirror is supposed to be like the reflection in like a cell phone or something like that, right?" And she's like, "God damn it! It took me so long to figure that out." You're in the second episode, or whatever. And I'm like,
so I will say the worst episode of it, in my opinion, is the episode where like everyone's on a dating website, but it tells you ahead of time how long you can date someone. Like you have an expiration. I was
gonna say I loved that episode. That was my favorite episode of this season.
Really?
Yeah, I loved that one.
I don't know if that's my least favorite, but I definitely I just find it anticlimactic. A lot of episodes of Black Mirror, for those of you who don't watch it, it ends. Most episodes end badly. There's not a good ending. Like I said, we talked. It
essentially ends with, "Well, I better go kill myself.
Or I gotta go fuck a pig." Like. And by the way, that's one of the better endings. And I promise you, as bad as that sounds, that is nothing to compare to some of the bullshit you see later on. So,
Crocodile is my least favorite one. I didn't think that one.
Yeah.
That's the whole trying to find out people that did crimes and stuff. And,
I think the Waldo movement is way too similar to what's going on in America right now.
That's very biting nowadays, isn't it?
Wait, my bad. Crocodile. That's the one where like the auditor goes, like the insurance people can go back to the scene of the crime and like they could go through everyone's memories and they could see what happened, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
To make sure that was the title of the episode. Yeah, that episode's dumb because it's a fucking hamster that essentially saves the day, right? That's so stupid. Like, are you kidding me? And also, do they have the technology so they can enter how do they have the technology to do that to a hamster? And also, how do you know if the hamster is just fucking looking like there's just that episode to me. There's just has to be so many coincidences that happen for everything to line up perfectly. I will say the ending of that episode is really good with the girl at the woman at the play with the police, like, you know, there at the very end. I think the way it ends is as well, but I think everything leading up to it's kind of dumb.
I will say though, if we haven't given you enough of a reason to watch Black Mirror, watch that one. But also, season 2 of Westworld is coming out on the 22nd, I think. And if you have not watched season 1 of Westworld, it's only 10 episodes. That shit is so good.
Yep.
I don't know a single person that has watched Westworld that hasn't been like, "Oh damn, I love this show."
Yeah.
Go watch it, whoever you are.
Comes out
Anybody
on Sunday.
listening.
You still have 3 days.
Yeah, you can binge watch those 10 episodes in 2 days and feel like you've gone through a roller coaster, because by the end of the first episode, you're going to know whether or not you are into this show. By the end of the second episode, you're going to be like, "Oh, what the hell?" By the end of the 5th one, something like that, you know. I just got Caroline to watch them all. She hadn't seen them. And I was like, I know what she's in store for. And by the end of the first episode, I'm like, "So what do you think?" And she's like, "But wait, why does this whatever? And what's this whatever?" I'm like, "Well, that's what you got to find out and stuff." And I'm like, "Do you like it?" And she's like, yeah, I really, really like it and stuff. And I'm sitting there waiting for this one big twist that happens. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I knew that it was happening because I watched the whole season and stuff. And it's in like episode 6 or so. And it's one of those things where it's like a major twist. And she just turns around to me and she's just kind of like, "Wait, no. Does that mean no? Wait, hold on," and whatever. She literally got to a point where it's the next episode after that, and she's like, "All right, we need to stop watching this. I need a moment." And like, she like took like an hour where she didn't want to watch anything for anymore because she was just like, "I have to process all this and stuff." And it was, you know, at the end of the season, it ends in a way that you're just kind of like, "Oh shit!" And she was just like, "I am so mad at you right now," and I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "I have to wait until like 2 months from now to watch this again." And I'm like, she's like, "I'm really mad. Like, I'm really upset."
Did Caroline spend a lot of time in Brazil? Like, did she spend a good portion of her life there?
Yeah.
I'm very curious what Brazil television is like compared to the United States.
Apparently a lot of soap operas.
Not surprised.
Like, that sucks.
Well, because the only things I've ever seen about Brazil television is there's always some like really hot girl with like big boobs, a big butt, and it's always something stupid and definitely like very, very sexually provocative in some way, shape, or form.
Like tassels.
Yes. They don't give a fuck there.
Well, our last question here is, what was your high school mascot? Spartan.
A cougar. I was actually the mascot. I got to wear the costume at one point. I can see that. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Like that, the costume that I had was it was like from the 1980s. The fan that was in like the head that you put on didn't work. One day it was like 100 degrees outside. Holy shit, I wore a sweatband that day. I started sweating through the suit, and the shirt that I had on over the suit, you could see the sweat. No one came up to me in the fourth quarter. I was like, thank God, I just want to get the fuck out of this thing. But oh my God, I wore a sweatband under like everything that day. I swear to God, there was like 4 pounds of sweat, I feel like, just in this like just sweatband. It was disgusting. Like, I highly don't recommend ever doing stuff like that, guys, unless you're like gonna get paid like $1,000 a day to do it.
Yeah, fuck that. We actually do have one more question. Oh wait, Rob, you didn't say yours.
Mine was a bulldog.
Was it British by any chance?
It was not. You know, that's the kind of thing that I always wanted just because it would pop me. But no, it was not a British bulldog.
We actually do have one more question here. I forgot to add this into my other notes, but Howard sent this in. Yes. Going back to August of 1991, how good would a Jake Roberts versus the Ultimate Warrior match would have turned out if Jake Roberts had not canceled the feud or if Warrior had not left the company? Unfortunately, I hate to end on this kind of a note, but I don't really know too much about this time frame to be able to be like, this is what they did instead. But Jake Roberts was always good on the mic,
All right, so
and Warrior was popular as shit.
when did you stop watching? I'm assuming you fell out in kind of like the post Hogan, pre New Generation.
No, I was too young for that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because I was born in '87, so to me, I went back and I watched old stuff in like the mid '90s, but I wasn't really like coherent enough, like a 4-year-old or whatever, like in '91 to really be like watching it and stuff. And my dad was never really into wrestling. It was just kind of one of those things where it was like he was more into football and baseball more than anything else. And he was a little bit into wrestling just because it was like kind of one of those things where it's like
You could bond.
people knew Bruno Sammartino and people knew Hulk Hogan and stuff. But somehow either he got me into it or I got into it and he got into it more. But that was kind of like our go-between. It was like I didn't care about football and baseball. He did, but he got into wrestling because of me, kind of. So I didn't really watch, like, he didn't get me started in, like, when I was a kid to be able to, like, watch it in '91 kind of a thing. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I definitely cannot answer this question.
All right, so
hit it, Robert.
Leave it to the one who was born in '93 to go.
I was born in '95. I cannot. I didn't start watching until 2004, so I could not tell you anything about this.
All right, so leave it to me. I'm such a fucking nerd for this era in particular. For whatever reason, it always seemed attractive to me because it's like the Hogan era, and you hear that, you know, wrestling was really over at the time. So Jake the Snake Roberts was trying to help the Undertaker, help the Ultimate Warrior, kind of walk the dark side to take on the Undertaker. And it turned out to be like a huge swerve, and it started the Jake the Snake Undertaker tag team, which actually led to their match at WrestleMania 8. I think that their feud, for what it was, would have ended up being mostly a tag feud. I think it would have ended up being Warrior and Savage with Jake and Taker. But Jake the Snake, as a heel, should have had a run on top. Like, even if it was late 91, 92 with, you know, Macho Man for the world title, I think Jake the Snake at that time could have easily have done this, but he ends up walking out on the company because probably his demons and, you know, WWE didn't want to deal with it. But I easily think that Ultimate Warrior Jake the Snake could have been a major match at WrestleMania 8, if not, you know, a title match at some point. And you guys can answer this. Jake the Snake is one of those guys, never had a title. Do you think if it was the 12-month format of pay-per-views that he inevitably would have been a champion?
Yes.
Just because, you know...
You give me a brand split, he wins the title, for sure.
I mean, even just with the 12-month format as a Intercontinental Champion, he would have won something because
he would have. I would have definitely won the Intercontinental.
Like even if Jake was in this time, he definitely would have, because look, there's 2 world champions, there's 2 mid-card titles, there's 2 tag team titles, there's NXT, and they now have 2 titles that you can win on top of the tag team titles. So yes, I think Jake. I think especially if this was in the 1990s and the 80s, and they had 12 or sometimes they have 13 pay-per-views in a year, so they do 2 in 1 month. But yeah, I definitely think Jake is someone who could definitely have won a title. And I feel like we talk about Jake the Snake more than a lot of wrestlers from the 80s than for some reason.
Because of his
Nobody ever brings up those killer bees.
Bzz, bzz. His promo work was masterful for the time, and the DDT was their version of the RKO. Like, that DDT was so, oh my god, that came out of nowhere. Did you see that move? And like, Jake was great. I think he falls into that category of like the Owen Harts and the Mr. Perfects, who people are outraged that they were never the top guy. But it's simply, they weren't, because they had 4 pay-per-views at the time, 2 of which were strictly gimmick with Survivor Series and the Rumble. And the only 2 pay-per-views where the world title was a focus was Mania and occasionally SummerSlam. So there was no need to take that title off of Hogan or Macho or whoever that one top guy was. Do I think Jake and Warrior should have been a world title program? Absolutely. But, that's just the way the television was formatted at the time. I used to scour the internet for, any kind of old school superstars or wrestling challenge because I thought that it was I thought it would be like watching Raw, but with those guys. And I was shocked when I first started watching it and found out that it was just squash matches and you never really saw the top guys except for like local area promos,
I think that's why a lot of people get mad at that mentality when like, oh, you're wasting this match, man. This should be a big time match. I think a lot of that has to stem with back in the day. You only saw Hulk Hogan face, Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania. Same with Savage. Or if you got lucky enough at a house show or something like that.
Well, not even if you got lucky at a house show. Their business model was structured toward the house show. The major matches occurred at house shows. House shows were getting Hogan versus, Savage, and then the pay-per-view would be Hogan and Beefcake with Savage and Zeus.
Never forget that the main event of WrestleMania 1 was a tag team match.
Mm-hmm.
Because
with Mr. T.
It was an attraction thing, and their business was so geared towards the house shows. I actually think, to kind of bring it back to today, if they could figure out what they wanted their main business model to be, the Brock Lesnar thing wouldn't be so bad. If they could establish, hey, we're building towards house shows, and then everybody was kind of treated like a Lesnar, where it's like champions are a special thing that you won't see on TV a lot. Lesnar wouldn't seem so bad, but when you have every other champion on every single TV show ever, it just makes Lesnar look like an entitled prick. Because you never saw Hogan on every TV show. You saw him on Saturday Night's Main Event, which was a quarterly thing, and then you saw him at your local house show because it was more of go out and see WWF at your house show. The TV is just an advertisement for that.
WWE at your house coming up next.
And there's your useless wrestling history lesson. You're welcome.
Alrighty, guys. Well, this was a triple dose of the. This is a 3-hour mailbag. Usually try to make them around an hour and a half.
What's funny is when we started, Tony, I was like, this is probably going to be like an hour.
And if I would have had everybody's question, this would have been like 10 hours. But we really need to start narrowing these down more a little bit.
Personal request for me, Howard, send more questions so I can blabber on about the history of wrestling.
I think we had a good discussion, though. So if anybody went through this whole 3 hours, then congrats, you win nothing.
We'll induct you in the Hall of Fame someday.
If you want to give in your opinions about any of the things that we've talked about here, go ahead and do that in the comments below. In particular, I think the two things that I'd love to see people chime in on, what would our names be if you think that we should have different names, and what 3 words describe us? But also, did you eat your boogers, and different things like that we've got. So drop those comments below. Keep the discussion going there, even though it's already been 3 hours, but we could have more talks. I might ask some other people about the whole opinions about those other questions, and maybe if I get some answers, I'll leave them in the comments or something like that, or put something on the Mega Maniacs or whatever. But in the meantime,
I posted it in the group chat. No one's answered so far.
In the meantime, go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the bell for notifications as well, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Smark Out Moment for more, even though we're not going to have any more podcast stuff for this week because we've already got like 6 hours worth of material. That's more than enough of us yabbering on about shit.
Next time you should hear us should be Monday? Hot tags?
Potentially Monday, maybe Tuesday. I don't know, kind of depends on scheduling wise, but the hot tags are coming up next, and after that is going to be... Actually, it's probably going to be Monday because the Greatest Royal Rumble is going to be on Friday. That sucks. So that means for sure we need to get our predictions out of the way Wednesday on that one. And then, of course, post-show, unless something weird happens with that. So those are the 3 things coming up that you should be checking up on. And you should also check out everybody on their social media accounts. Anybody want to toss them
I'm
out?
at Dude Felice. You can check out timekillerapparel.com. Pick up a t-shirt, pick up a hat, check out pandemoniummania.com. More content coming there relatively soon. And check out the Triple Threat this week on Smark Out Moment, where we'll be discussing the John Cena, Nikki Bella's... Wait, are we discussing? We're discussing the Superstar Shakeup results. That's what we're discussing. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it for me. Drew, you're at Drucifer White on Twitter?
The Drucifer White.
Listen.
I want Rob to do my plugs from now on. It's Drusif White on the Twitter machine, and it's like that on Instagram as well, even though I don't post on there often. I always made a joke about joining the Mega Maniacs on Facebook, but I don't know if many people ever join that when I say it, but you should definitely join the Mega Maniacs on Facebook because it's a fun group where all of us discuss things occasionally. And if you want to I don't know, I could have shout out a plug for Ricky the Torpedo if I wanted to.
That sounds like the most over 1980s baby face of all time.
Actually, Peyton, who's occasionally is on here, he does his own Mega Powers Wrestling 2K18 streaming for creative wrestlers on I think he uses Mix. Yeah, he uses a Mixer now. Ricky the Torpedo.
What platform does he use? PS4, Xbox One?
Yes, he uses PS4. And if you're ever interested, you could definitely create a wrestler still. He has a sheet that you could fill out, and you could create your own wrestler, and he'll make it for you. Or if you use if you have a PS4, you can make it, and then you can send it to him. But no, Ricky the Torpedo Marinara was my wrestling name when I wrestled on trampoline wrestling. Come on, I was 9, 10. That doesn't fucking count. And he was Ricky Repito Torpedo Marinara Sauce. That's what my friend Kyle would call him. Because that's how he's like, oh, you're a marinara sauce, you're nothing. But his finisher was just repeatedly doing drop kicks.
He hulks up when somebody touches his spaghetti.
Oh yeah,
the breadstick kick, wasn't that?
Yeah,
something?
His finisher was a breadstick kick, and it's hashtag sauce instead of soft now. So yeah, Ricky the Torpedo is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, probably. So
I'm into it, man.
I am hungry now.
I'm gonna go eat some pizza.
I'm gonna eat some fucking.
Follow our fearless leader Tony Mango at Tony Mango on everything, even though he's not very active. But you should still follow him because he works hard for all of us. And buy a t-shirt at TeePublic and Redbubble. Tony, am I missing anything?
Fanboysanonymous.com for anything else. That I don't know if anything's coming this week. I'm probably going to see A Quiet Place on Saturday.
That's interesting.
When are you doing That's next week, right? Avengers review next week.
Yeah, Avengers for sure. That is definitely going to happen. And Batman Ninja is fucking coming out soon. So I don't know. I tend not to do the DC ones on the YouTube channel, but maybe I'll do something. So
you're doing that because you'll see me in that one.
Keep paying attention for that. Maybe we'll do something for that one too. But go ahead and follow that on fanboysanonymous.com. Go ahead and do everything else you're going to do. And we will see you next time, everybody. Thanks for listening to this. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.